Bay St. Louis City Council meeting, first meeting in March 2024. Please stand for the invocation and the pledge.
Let's pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen. Now, Father, as we stand today in your presence, we just ask, Father, for this council and for this administration an understanding heart. Father, a heart that just know how to represent your people, Father, between right and wrong, and Father, between good and bad, and Father, that we will represent you, our citizens, and this city in a great way. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, welcome to the meeting. Any agenda amendments needed? Mr. Mayor,
We
Risa,
don't have any.
council, anything to add? All right, first thing on the agenda, looks like we got a bunch of Girl Scouts here today. Thank y'all for coming. Mr. Mayor, you have a proclamation?
We do.
Thank you.
See if I can see it. Whereas Girl Scouts of the USA, the largest leadership program for girls, turns 112 on March 12, 2024. Whereas over 50 million alumni of Girl Scouts have made a difference in the world as trailblazers, visionaries, and leaders in our community. Whereas Girl Scouts offer important out-of-school learning, enrichment of skill-building opportunities with the focus on public service, civic engagement, and community building. Whereas Girl Scouts provide a safe haven for girls experiencing increased levels of stress and anxiety. And whereas the program instills a lifelong appreciation for nature and the environment through exciting summer camp experiences. Whereas the Girl Scouts of Greater Mississippi serves 6,000 girls across the state of Mississippi. Now therefore, I, Michael J. Favre, Mayor of the City of Bay St. Louis, along with the City Council, do hereby declare the week of March 10th through 16th as Girl Scout Week. Thank you. Present to 'em?
Picture. Want to take a picture? Oh, I'm telling you.
Y'all wanna hold this? I gotta turn around this way.
Volleyball players, and they was in a bind, but we.
Huh?
Yeah, y'all get in. We got the picture. I can send it to Chris. Y'all bring any cookies?
I'm sorry.
Sold out. All right, look at everybody, look at the center camera.
How about-
Good. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. All right, next on the agenda, Ms. Beth Robertson and Ms. Layla Jordan, Institute for Disability Studies. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Beth Robertson. I am Transition Coordinator at the University of Southern Mississippi Institute for Disability Studies. And I wanted to publicly thank you all for everything that you did to make our job extravaganza a tremendous success. That was on February the 2nd of this year, and your team really came together and partnered with us, and you are heroes to our students with disabilities. They're still talking about it today, and we wanted to give you this token of our appreciation that our students with disabilities made. It's a pottery piece,
Awesome.
and hope that you'll remember our students when you have the display.
Thank you so much. Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
you.
And I'm Leela Jordan, a community volunteer, and I had the good fortune of working with Mike Rizzo and all your department, and they're the best team I've worked with.
Ma'am, we blessed.
And they're really great and really worked hard. So I wanted to come and thank them for all their hard work.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Chair, Roberts. Come on, Rizzo. Come on, man. Make us look good, buddy. Come on. Make us look good. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, Ms. Rachel Knight. We'll talk about tourism, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Today, we, Mackenzie Northington and I come. I would like to introduce her as the new part-time administrative assistant to our long-term and beloved Tourism Bureau Manager, Miss Myrna Green. Over the next few months, Mackenzie will be helping Myrna with day-to-day operations and also learning from Myrna the inner working operations of the Bureau and continued pursuits of tourism grants. Our goal is that at some point in the future, when the board and Myrna and feel Mackenzie is ready, Mackenzie will take over the full-time operations of our Tourism Bureau. Myrna will remain part of Hancock County Tourism as long as she is capable and willing, and as long as our budget will allow. We have, I introduced to you Mackenzie Northington.
Welcome.
Welcome.
As many of y'all already know, I'm Mackenzie Northington. Just a little bit about me. I graduated from Bay High, continued my education at LSU. Currently, I've been working with the Old Town Merchant Association as their marketing and social media manager for the past 3 years. I also own 2 of my own companies, MS Marketing and Photography. I'm very excited about this opportunity to help build tourism in Hancock County.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are very excited for what's coming. And also, too, I wanted to give a little update about the depot and the Mardi Gras Museum. As many of you know, several of our neighboring cities, including, Picayune, Biloxi, Gulfport, Slidell, they all have historic museums at their visitor center. About 10 years ago, Hancock County Tourism received a historic preservation grant for $10,000. And those funds were used to create a small permanent freestanding exhibit that explains the 300-plus years history of Hancock County, including a 300-year timeline. The history of Stennis, Space Center, Logtown, and the Spanish Trail, and our hurricane, to name a few. That current history exhibit occupies a small area on the right side of the downstairs office, and our visitors, especially first-time visitors, tell our staff, office, and our visitors what they learn and how excited they are to learn about the history of our county. Later in the year, we would like to revamp it, increase our history part of it, and maybe add a tad bit of some retail to increase our revenue. So just kind of wanted to give a little bit of an update with what's going on, and also to, with Amtrak possibly coming into the area, we want to make sure that we have it up and going for our incoming train riders.
Cool.
Awesome. That's great.
So thank you
Thank
for
you.
the opportunity to come and address you guys today and introduce Mackenzie.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, Moffett Nichols, with Jonathan Hurd and Survey Burry. Sai, updates on the bulkhead presentation.
My name is Sai Dubery. I'm with Moffett Nickel. Jonathan Hurd, principal vice president. I'm a structural engineer. We have a little technical issue here with the computer, so I don't know. Here. We put together a little presentation to go over some of the findings that we have from a recent inspection at the Bay St. Louis Harbor bulkhead. So we went out there on June 15, 2023, myself and another geotechnical engineer. and we have conducted a topo inspection, and we made some findings, and we prepared a recommendation and findings report, and turn it over to Mike and other team, the city, to with our recommendations on how to go about the repairs. The report mainly focused on the bulkhead, as there was a settlement observance for the ears. Few measures were done to try to prevent and maybe stop the settlement, and because they were not working, they have got Mop and Nickel involved, and we have dig more into the design drawings, construction means and methods, and with our vast experience of this, we have put together a report. Next slide.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah, go ahead.
I see you had short-term solution.
Yes.
So what's gonna happen in the long term?
There's three options.
Yeah, so what happened was the original report was for the complete repairs, one solution, and it will work for the entire length of the age of the bulkhead, design life of the bulkhead. That was our original recommendation, and still is our recommendation as far as the repairs go. The other couple of recommendations came after the construction cost estimates were considered. So that's our 1,000 linear foot of bulkhead that it has been inspected, including the vent deck, and little bit story behind it. I'm sure some of you guys might be aware of it. There was so many settlement on the south, planned south of the bulkhead, that the sidewalk has been settling, and it was time for the harbor to remove that as a precaution for any injuries for the people using the harbor. And during that excavation and the photographs that were shared with us, we have seen that there are sinkhole formations, but it was always thought that it was a settlement issue. Next slide. This typical section is taken from the design plans that were shared with us, which shows it is important that I want to just show it out here is because we were looking at how this bulkhead was designed. Did it meet all the design criteria that is required to keep its longevity, and for this kind of issues to not happen? And the red highlight shows that the filter cloth, which is the geofabric, has only been placed right below the tie rods, which is above the mean high water elevation. So that is our biggest concern, and is the reason why a lot of these sinkhole formations are happening. Next slide. So what's happening here is because of the fabric was put short, and then the way these concrete sheet piles are driven, the design consideration after reviewing the plans was double groove sheet piles, meaning 2 Cs, are driven they go all the way down to the mud line of the construction elevation, and after that it is a tongue and a groove section that goes below. So what this groove and groove does is it creates a pocket, and the reason why the engineers thought it was a good idea is to let some groundwater seep through these joints, and it was actually filled with grout sock, which typically works sometimes, and then there might be installation issues, means and methods the contractor have used to install this could be an issue. There's no way to actually check it on only the quantity of grout that was poured into each of these sections is the only way we know if it's good or not. So what's happening here, the little illustration, what we're trying to see here is whenever the tide level rises, the water seeps through these joints into the behind the bulkhead and surcharges the soils with water. And when the low tide comes, the water is trying to escape now, and it's taking soils with it. There was a dive inspection that was conducted before we got involved, and that report has shown that there was at some of these joints there was piles of sand at these actual sheet pile joint locations. Next slide. So we took a couple of measurements. Like I said, there was no destructive testing that has been conducted, but there were some cores that were drilled to kind of see how much fill was lost. And this table shows the pavement settlement. That doesn't. I mean, we see an average of 2 to 3 inches along the length of the bulkhead, but some locations have 98 inches. The few hundred about 150 foot length of the bulkhead, actually, we could not measure it because it was demolished before we were brought under contract to inspect it. But I have put some more photographs from when the demolition happened to see how this sinkhole looks and why it is important for us to consider repairing to the entire length of the bulkhead and not partial repair. Next slide, please. Like you can see, those are a close-up shot of the core holes that were taken, and the one in the bottom is actually on the event deck. We took a probe to kind of measure to see how much length we have lost, and the biggest concern for me also is we could only bring about an 8-foot long a probe to kind of measure and see how much fill we have lost. And when we were trying to stick it in, the whole probe goes all the way down. It doesn't stop. That tells us that the fills are very loose, meaning they're even though our depth here says 27 inches, 12 inches, they're more than that because it's not solid anymore. Next slide, please. So these were some photographs that were shared with us when they took out the south sidewalk, and like you can see, these are multiple locations. The sand is caving in and trying to go through the joints of the bulkhead. So after reviewing all of this, careful consideration, one more thing to add to everything, we did not have a whole bunch of construction means and methods shared with us. Meaning construction records were not available. Photographs, there were few limited photographs, but not in-depth photographs like we would like to see. And so with the information that was given to us, and we also noticed that in engineering plans, there was no accounting for ground improvement programs for any kind of settlement. So we don't know if that was done or not, but in the worst case scenario, we like to consider that was not done.
Grout what?
Ground improvement program. So our repair option A, this was our first report that went out from Moffitt and Nickel, explaining our observations, review of the technical documents that were provided to us, and our expert opinion based on our inspection and the document. Our recommendations are to excavate behind the bulkhead length, along the entire length of the bulkhead, because we have observed, like I said, the fabric was placed short and no weep holes were installed for this groundwater to leave the system. And then that is our recommendation, is to excavate it back to pre-construction elevations and then place the fabric to the bottom of these groove and groove joints, and then come back and install the relief weep holes from the outside. There won't be any structural damages to the bulkhead itself, and the construction estimated cost at this very preliminary phase, but also with our experience with recent similar project, we came up about $2.15 million for this cost. There's about 30% contingency included in that number, and that is our recommendation, only recommendation in the report, because there's not any other way we wanted to solve this issue. But with the number given, city wanted to consider and see if there's any temporary solutions that we can provide. We understand that there's a lawsuit against people involved with the project, companies involved with the project. So we were trying to see if we can give them a temporary solution either a permanent temporary solution, so once that came to our notice, we considered a few things, and next slide, please. So this is our option B, which is an option preferred after option A if funding is an issue. Option B is what we would recommend, which is a target complete repair and slab jacking for the entire length of the sidewalk that is existing. What this option does is the locations that have been identified as a major issue of sinkholes, where the cores are present and we could actually measure, are the locations that will be considered for repairs and then excavated the same way as option A, but these repairs are not being conducted at the entire length of the bulkhead because we haven't seen the same amount of settlement in other areas. So the cost for this option is about $1 million, and same thing, 30% contingencies were included in that. It is very important. We have also included cost for slab jacking in the meantime, because we don't know how long the repairs will take to be conducted, and we did not want any trip hazards along at the marina to be there to potentially cause an injuries to people using the marina. Next slide, please. So option C is our least favorite, but again, we wanted to provide something with that buys us some time. It will definitely buy some time. Just prolongs the issue, all we are doing here is we're not really addressing the actual issue. All we are trying to do is fill the lost fill with the existing material, similar existing material of the bulkhead, which is sand, and do some slab jacking and wait till things figure out or funds come through. This is definitely, in my opinion, not a good use of money, but still we wanted to see, we want to present that this is also an option that definitely buys it some time. Next slide, please. So yeah, a little comparison of these three costs, right? So $2.5 million. Almost 50% is option B. Almost another 50% is option C. And option A might seem high cost, but it prevents any future losses, and it's a permanent solution, which is what we want to give you guys as professionals. And option B addresses loss of fill at the existing location, but no future losses can be guaranteed at the other locations, right? Because we're not addressing the issue. And option C is the least expensive, but does not prevent any future losses of fill at any other the entire length of the bulkhead. Next slide. Again, option A is what we recommend. Fixed sinkhole issue along the length of the bulkhead. Option B, and again, this can be done. We can look at this if option B is considered as an option for repairs because of the funding issues. We can look at this as a phasing thing, and we can see that at least we're addressing permanent fixes for the known locations, and then come back when funds are available and repair the other portions of the bulkhead. And one more little detail that I wanted to add is if we are involved with the design, which we would like to and provide the appropriate solutions and design recommendations and means and methods, we would like to do it one whole package to address everything. That way city has all the documents. This is not going to change, and then we will also provide construction administration support during construction to make sure we won't have any issues. Next slide, please. Any questions?
Sure.
Yes, go ahead.
Interesting point about the fabric, right? So you said the fabric was installed short.
Yes.
Is there a design specification worldwide that says when you build a marina and you run fabric, you're supposed to go X amount of feet above mean level?
Correct.
Okay.
So what it is so when usually when a bulkhead is installed, they usually install it 1 foot below the actual construction mud elevation, ground elevation, which we can clearly see that's not what they have done. So, and then the water elevation needs to be considered, and we understand the reasoning why, and there could be a bunch of other reasonings which we have explained in the report. There might be over dredging. There might be wave action that could have scoured and created much more waterhead differential between, the land side and the water side. So bunch of things working, but if weep holes and the actual fabric was placed all the way down to, like that's what I would have done as a structural engineer. We probably would not have seen this issue.
So also weep holes were not installed. Those also normal specifications for design.
Correct, because we want a relief of, because there will be water surcharge that will try to relieve the system, and there is no way, it will try to leave from the left,
Right.
behind,
Yeah, it's not-
everywhere, but this is also another way the water will try to leave the system,
Gotta go
and then
somewhere,
it will take salt with it and cause this issue.
Okay. We talk about grouting. You said that there's a X amount of grout that should be in each joint.
Right. So the only way a contractor would measure, and there, again, we don't have the contract, all the documents, and the only way, if we did a similar design, based on the actual volume of that cylinder between the grooves,
Right.
we would make sure that's how much grout went into it, and no room for error, right? We don't want, make sure the sock is all the way down, check with the length of the sock, and make sure the right amount of grout is in there. But we don't know. And another interesting thing that was provided to us when the divers went out there, they tried to check between the joints, and they could not find any fabric either. So we know that there was no fabric, or neither the grout at where the sands are.
Right. So could we, I guess, it's somewhere there's gotta be construction documents, but how much material was used on site, right? Can we say, okay, we got 1,000 joints, each joint should have a gallon of grout or whatever in it, right?
Mhm.
And back check the amount of material bought to say, okay, we needed 100 gallons of grout and you bought 10, right?
Mhm.
As a known deficiency. From that standpoint, I don't know where we're at from the legal standpoint, but the more facts we have to
Yeah.
say it's a deficiency, a proven deficiency, well, hey, you should have 100 gallons of grout and you bought 10. Right?
The
So-
kind of information that would make me more comfortable, even for you guys to even consider, right? Usually when these kind of things happen, the way these are line item into a project
Correct.
is the amount that the engineer estimated
Right.
and paid. And so unless there is a trusted individual from the city or, from the engineers that has actually recorded these numbers and signed on the document, the contractor would have claimed all his money for that line item.
Correct.
So you wouldn't know if they have actually filled it or not. They think that they have done the job. They could have,
But if they didn't buy the material,
yeah,
right, then that's a.
they might have overbought the material. We would never know, unless we can actually see that someone who's trusted.
Construction document.
Yeah,
So,
like a
line item.
daily.
Yeah, each line,
It would have to be a line item broke down showing
Right.
with the cost of material as well.
It's just a
Like
question to
measure,
ask,
right.
right? Do we have those documentation?
So for fill, like you said, for fill, there will be truck measures or something.
Right.
There's tickets that proves that actually this much
Right.
amount of material is brought in.
Mhm.
And if we can find some information like that, we will know. But again, there's other factors. That's not the only factor that can cause the issue, but that is one that should definitely be considered. There's other things. The fabric's not installed properly.
Right.
There's no weep hole, and there might be over dredging. We don't have that survey information from back when they have actually dredged it. Wave action, natural causes might have caused it, but again, the means and methods of the design have some flaws, and the means and methods of construction are unknown, and hence our recommendation.
so should there have been inspectors inspecting that as they,
1,000% a project this magnitude, definitely a full-time inspector should be out there recording the activities of the day, and then taking,
do we know who were the inspectors, did the engineering firm
Yeah,
provide
we
the
do.
inspectors? Did the city provide the inspectors? Do we know that?
That's before my time, but we can find out, but it's mine and
You sure?
understanding.
I thought you was up here when they were building that.
But I think it was the engineers and all that
Yeah, the engineer company was supposed to provide inspection. There was an
provided
engineer
the
on,
inspection. I don't
inspection
know if
on
we
site.
had any
Yeah, I know.
overseeing
You know,
of it or whatever.
right?
Yeah.
He's don't, he wasn't on. Okay.
No. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure. That's what I'd heard originally that was, and I wasn't, you know,
Well,
good.
he was the engineer over it.
Yeah, it was engineering. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So,
So can we get the engineering construction package from the engineering I know, I'm sure all this has been asked for, right?
That we, you know, the city only has what we have, and this is before any of us were sitting in the roles that we currently are. So all we can go off of is what we have, and that's been
So
one
all
of the
that's been
problems
subpoenaed.
that we, well, some of.
I mean, it should be documentation of this project
Yeah.
at the engineering firm that's pretty detailed. And if there's not, I would be,
I mean,
I would
I'll step a
question
little
that.
bit out of my way and still also tell something. You guys can go back and look at the contract of the engineer on what they should have been doing, right? And see if they should be maintaining the records and giving you a copy, it's your right to ask for those documents also. If that's what the contract says that they need to maintain daily reports,
Okay.
inspection photographs and things like that, even though you guys might have misplaced it or couldn't find it, it's there as engineers, they need to provide you that information.
So-
With this project, so I see in here, it said, I believe that y'all were not provided necessarily the design life of the harbor, but, you know, a normal harbor of this size, let's say it's 50 years, so we're 10 years into this.
Usually concrete bulkheaded marinas are over 100 years. They're
So-
long, yeah.
So we're very short lifespan into this project. We're very short into the, so I guess my question is, comparatively speaking, you're saying that option A for the 2.15 million is gonna fix this from now until this
The design life of the
design
bulkhead.
fails or the
Yeah.
whole thing washes away with
Right.
some major storm. Option B may last how long? Option C
No,
would
so
last us
option
how
A
long?
will actually fix the known issue locations where they,
That, one thing, I think option A includes the event deck and everything.
correct.
And whereas
100%
option
repair.
B just does the east
the
wall
spots,
of the
right.
parking lot, the sidewalks now.
Right.
So it's about half to do the sidewalks and half to do the event deck.
But what I'm getting at is, if option A is total repair, option B is a stopgap, option C is a temporary
Band-aid.
stopgap.
Yeah.
What lifespan does option C and option B present us?
We don't want to
compared
put
option
a
I
life.
mean, I'm not
Yeah, no,
saying
we
you
don't
gotta
want
tell me
to
it's
put a
5 years and it's not 3
lifetime
years.
on an option C, but we'll give our opinion, right? There is no guarantee on that, and it's also because additional fill, adding additional weight. This is the reason why it's leaving the system is because of the weight. It's trying to leave the system,
Right.
and now you add more weight. The solids are already loose now because our probe is going 10 feet, 20 feet. We didn't
Right,
add big
right,
enough
right,
probe.
that's fine.
So the second you add more weight, it might increase the,
Erosion.
so, and then you might have to keep coming back and keep filling it until, the problem is.
C
actually
is no
fixed.
more than coming in and raising all the levels of sidewalk, keep tripping hazards,
Right.
you know. B is a permanent fix for that east wall. That is a lifetime.
Yeah,
No,
for the
There's a
known location,
lifetime
it's not
fix
for
on
the
the east
entire length
wall.
of the bulkhead.
No, I don't think it's the whole wall. I think it's just the bad points that's
Bad
fixed
points that are,
now.
yeah.
So
coming
all that
through
we're gonna
to
do is
that area.
we're gonna move the problem to another joint and still have the same problem if we
Yeah.
spend $1 million. We're
Yeah.
not fixing nothing.
So,
We just transferring the problem.
Can I just
Just what I
sum this up?
understand.
So, option A, I remember when we first met, somebody told me, get me out of the grouting business, right? Option A, it's fixed and done, right? You've repaired the whole system for a 50-year design, back to what it was originally designed to do. Option B does the same at the known location
Right.
where there are issues, with a reasonable life expectancy of the project. But it doesn't, we don't know
We don't-
our unknowns at the moment.
We don't address the unknown.
Yeah, we don't, the Dick Cheneyisms, we don't know, these are unknown. But we'll fix permanent locate where we know there are issues. C is a patch and watch. And you
How
could-
long would that patch last, I guess is
How long's a piece of string?
yeah.
You know, it's, get your crystal ball out. It's a guessing exercise.
So-
And you literally are buying time, but you don't know how much time you're buying.
So, looking at this, these estimates, you have a 30% contingency, which is about $600,000 on option A. If you don't use that contingency, then that's gonna be credited back to us.
No, so the reason why we use that 30% contingency at
Cause
this.
you gotta get into it, I get that.
Right, we need to know, we don't know, we didn't dive into all the particular small details of, sure, there's existing buildings, we need to, sure, there's, like fuel tanks that needs to be relocated, then we need to produce plans and means and methods on how to do that. So, we want to carefully consider, we have estimated all the major items, but there are small items that we know that we might have missed it, and it's careful to, it might be pretty accurate, or there might be some savings as we go into the design and actually try to find out if there's better ways to go about it.
I understand, that's good. But the next thing that the most important thing that I'd be worried about is this damage accelerating. And at what pace is this accelerating that? Because what I don't want to see
Yeah.
is if I don't want to wait
Mhm.
a year, 2 years from now we got even more problems. This is,
So for
you're
sure,
saying this is,
for at the known locations, it will keep accelerating because now the fills are the fill is loose at these locations, so it will accelerate. So and then when we went out there to when I went out there to inspect, there were 100 spots or 200 spots, how many ever, I didn't count, but there was a truck parked right in front of the sinkhole, right? And there is plenty of the spots open, but people are parking right. I don't know. It's we don't know because if something would happen and then and the spills collapse, the truck could fall in there. So we can't really tell how fast it's accelerating, but it will at this point. Since it a couple of locations that we have identified, it will accelerate and keep losing more fuel.
Gary, if I don't mind, as an eyewitness, I can tell you that if we have another event like Ida or Zeta, it will accelerate significantly.
so would you classify this event in this harbor, it needs emergency repairs? Because I was out there
I will tell
today.
you, we witnessed a tremendous amount of loss, particularly on that south end when Ida came through. If y'all remember, we had about a 7-foot water elevation with that, even though that storm went to Louisiana. So if we get more than 4 or 5, if we have another situation like that, could be a tropical storm, could be a Hurricane 2, who knows? But the more inundation we have from a strong surge like that, the more that it's going to accelerate it, because we saw that happen with Ida post-Zeta, which is the reason why we had to tear that sidewalk up on that south end.
I remember
and
that.
put all of that asphalt, that milled up asphalt down there. That's where we had the significant loss of concrete, the ramp going down to the beach dropped significantly, and all of that area along that south end. So I can guarantee you, if we have that magnitude of storm surge again, it's going to only accelerate and exacerbate the problem even more so.
That's what my thought would be.
And Si, I had a
So-
quick,
Go ahead. Well, I guess what I'm getting at is that once you got into it, you're gonna see actually how this thing was built, open-handed. The point is that that's gonna prove any case that we have. In other words, having him guess and
Yeah,
speculate.
an example to that is also that typical section is for the entire length of the bucket. But when they have excavated, demolished the sidewalk, we have seen that they did not wrap the geofabric on that south wall. They just left it on the north wall, and then they didn't even make the turn. So we know, as we do destructive testing or do the repairs itself, we might have more evidences to add to the
To
the
whatever.
finding, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, if you remember that south wall, I would think it was probably somewhere around 17, 18. They came in and the contractor redid that south wall.
Yeah, I remember
Remember
that.
that? And at his cost and all, and I'm showing you, that was before you, yeah. So, at that time, they were supposed to put the fabric back and all, like according to what the, specs were and all on that south wall. Then when the storm come, it just wiped everything out on there, and that's what we're waiting on FEMA with to, you know, try to get that wall pushed back, you know, because that's the one I think came in at, Jason's not, 3.5 million from, and I think we estimated 1.5, you know, with FEMA fund, or 2 million, but it come in way more than what was, you know, allowed, and that's what we're in there now trying to get the funds for as well. But yeah, this, you know,
So this is on top of that?
yeah, this is not
So you're
touching
talking
the
$5
south
million?
wall. Yeah, well, the south
Not
wall,
with that
what's gonna happen there, that's gonna be a whole new wall. That wall's gonna disappear. They're gonna put a whole new wall on the south side and redo that. That's covered through FEMA, I think it's Ida,
That's hurricane damage.
Ida. So that's the hurricane repairs that we keep trying to get the funds for. You know, again, they gave us the funds to do it, and the estimate back then was whatever it was, but the actual bid came in twice as much what it was. So we're working with FEMA and all now, but this does not include that south wall. So yeah, you're right. We're looking at a $5 million, you know, fix between that, the wall, and the event deck.
Mayor, does that include, because I know there's some pictures in here that I think were given to M&N, with the bulkhead at the south corner where that sinkhole's at the pile joint, but the photos show that there's a crack, but then I think when you guys were investigating, you couldn't find it. So would that include that repair was possibly done in 2017? And we
On the south wall?
Yeah, on the south corner.
Yeah, they came, when they did, you know, there's a walkway that goes down, so it came from that tower right there where that walkway goes along, down to the boardwalk. What is that, maybe 20 feet along there?
Yeah,
20 feet. It came there and then wrapped around and went probably 3/4 of the south wall. It didn't quite go all the way to the ramp down there. And when they dug it out, that's where they saw all the voids and everything missing there.
So it's possible, because it looks like some of these dated photos are 2017. This one is undated, but it looks like that could have been repaired
That,
shortly thereafter
yes.
in 2017. So that
But
would
if you look, it's actually sinking, whether that was caused by Ida or whatever, but in that walkway area there, you can see where it's sinking down and all that, it's uneven in there. And to touch on C is not a fix. C is just, like you said, temporary and all, and that's just coming in just like,
I think C's a waste of money.
yeah.
I mean,
But the idea with C was to come in and try to do what we do on our sidewalks, fairly just come in, level up sidewalks, keep tripping hazards out. That wasn't to tear out, re-pour, anything like that. That was just a very quick fix, just to, you know, level up uneven sidewalks and all. And again, the way to go is you know, we're working on funds. We have about 750,000, give or take, you know, funds available for this now. You know, we're trying to get funds this year and all, and the idea thing would be to get funds to do the whole thing. And then South Wall would take care of itself with FEMA and all. But again, you know, we want to fix, whether this leads us into the litigation part of it, you know, and help us there or not. The wall needs to be fixed moving forward. So again, you know, we can patch it now and then always worry about this and all. But the event deck is a real problem, you know. You know, like you said, you're losing an 8-foot ride going down through there, and that's just a slab sitting up there on air pretty much.
Yeah, it's not pile supported, it's just sitting on this fill. Now you're losing this fill, it's hanging, there's no support. So if that accelerates, that whole slab might fail.
Mike, you're saying we currently have about 750,000, where is that coming?
It's coming from Thailand. The last couple of years we got reallocated for this and all.
That million we have that's coming back from the police department, that we've got 350 going to general,
600.
Well, none of that's been reallocated.
right, I'm saying it's going,
You could take the whole million.
the report was, I think, 350 to general funds, 350 to municipal reserve, and 350 that need to be basically allocated either to new projects or to.
Wait, say that again,
fund.
Gene?
The thing that Mike sent out the other day, the email,
Mhm.
About the $1 million, the last $1 million
The
that's coming
police
back.
department coming back.
But you
Yeah,
said-
we should take that whole $1 million.
Well, my
and-
point is, we
and
could take
allocate
that
it
whole
to
$1
this
million
fund.
and allocate it towards this exactly.
Yeah.
Because I think 350 was to reimburse some general fund loans.
Well, what happened, let me explain that.
350 was to
So it
reimburse.
goes into the general fund.
Right.
It pays off those loans. Those are
And it comes back.
unallocated funds. You
Yeah.
break them right back out and put it right to the thing.
Exactly.
Don't leave those things in the general fund because those are unbudgeted monies.
Right. And that's my point, is we have that million.
That whole $1 million can go to
Could possibly
start
go to do
this
this.
project.
And if we have 600,000-700,000,
And you're gonna get another how
Yeah.
much we getting, Mike? 3 million back on the police department? That's what you said the other day?
No, we're
No.
not.
Yeah, this is
We've
the
already
last,
received
we've
2
got
million.
two already.
Say it again?
We've received 2 million.
Okay, so
And we're
where's that
still-
money?
Where's that money?
It's in the general fund?
As part of your agenda, I gave, attached, including last week, gave all the due tos and due froms on all the paybacks of loans that we had to do.
Okay, so that's
So
$2 million.
we've received
Bear
2
with me,
million
bear with
already.
me. Hold on.
We're still due another
Bear
million.
with me.
Yes, sir.
So those monies are now unallocated funds. Because when you bring them back, you pay the loan, that's not budgeted in this year's budget.
That was already no,
No, it's not. It's not spent. It's reimbursed
We paid
money.
to the police department and we reimbursed what we borrowed from the other accounts. So on this agenda, there's several
No,
repayment of loans.
Let's get through this and then we'll.
Okay,
Yeah,
we
look.
need to have
Detail.
this
We have
discussion.
detail.
Yeah, you know, we need to, if we have any more questions for them, but we need to set up a workshop on this, you know, whether it's before the next meeting or next week or whatever, to start moving forward with this, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is all discussion, how we're gonna finance this, how we're gonna get it done, you know, that's what we need to get worked out and all. But that's not them, you know, if we wish to move forward, you know, start putting the spec together and all, and we can go out for bid, that's the only way we're gonna know what we end up with and everything. And this 2.1 million, if it's anything like other things are coming in, it might turn into 4 million, you know. It could go the other way, and that's my fingers crossed. Mine is at 1.5, you know. And really, but I mean, so until we can get some numbers and all look forward,
Right.
we by the time give them the opportunity to put it together so we can go out for bids and everything, we can start working on financing, begging, borrowing, and coming up with the
So
funds to do this.
What will we need to workshop? I mean, we just need to give.
We
some-
just want to make sure, you know, one is this what we want to do, you know, A.
Right.
B, C is really not in it.
Right.
You know, if we did C, we would just call the guy that does our sidewalks, come in, level them up,
Right.
you know, for a few dollars. We're talking very minimum amount of money there, which still could be done to keep a tripping hazard, you know,
Right.
for the next few months and all.
Yeah,
you know.
just to add to that option B, it's gonna cost $1.1 million or whatever it was, as a phasing. But when we go back and do the phase 2, it's gonna probably cost another $1.82 million.
Mobility and everything
Yeah,
else is
because
gonna be.
remobilizing and reworking on the same work issues as they're gonna overlap and all of that. So it's a $2.1 million problem now, or $3 million, $3.5 million if we phase it. Yeah. Yeah, that's if we consider option B, right? Like we could look into options and we prepare the contract document in such a way that if we want to, you know, do additional repairs than we thought based on our engineer estimates, we can do more. We don't have to do additional engineering designs. That's why we want to do the design for everything, have all the documents ready, and then issue portions of that design to be repaired, however it's chosen to be repaired.
It sounds like a lot of what what's gonna be predicated upon making a decision on the option is where we're coming with the funds. I know we have a discussion here on the master project list and decide what's a want and a need, and we're gonna have to make those decisions on what absolutely has to get done. This is a want, it has to be done.
Yeah, I mean, we need, so, Ms. Smith, do we have to, since we haven't engaged Moffett and Nichols, can we roll them into the construction phase of design engineer and project management, or is that something we have to go back out for?
So the answer to that really depends on how you're planning to pay for the engineering. But if you're planning to use local funds, then we would just get a contract with them and move forward with it.
Okay.
Which would be, I mean, that's gonna be your best.
It makes sense, but I just,
Yeah.
how could, legally, can we just roll into design construction with them, or would we have to go back out for RFPs or Qs or whatever the hell they are for?
Again, if you were using federal money, then we would need to start talking about RFPs. But if you commit to just say we're using local funds, whatever pot that may be, as long as we're using local funds, you don't have to procure that.
So if we move forward with using them and down the line we do get federal funds, is that gonna?
If that money is used for construction, then that's not our issue, right? This is design
Okay.
Yeah.
money and there's construction money. So
Yeah,
I
you
think
would just have to
that-
use local money for your engineering.
Okay,
Okay.
and
But
if
I
they,
can, I mean, I could tell y'all right off the top of my head, I don't know of any federal type funds that you would,
if they do design, engineering, and the specs, okay, who's gonna watch them? Who's gonna review their specs? Because we don't wanna run into the same problem that we had an engineer that did the design, supposed to done the inspection and the specs. Well, who watched them? And then here 10 years later, we got a problem.
Yeah, well, this
So-
isn't 10 years
Jeffrey.
later, this was almost immediately we started.
This is who
But
the
this is-
BART program wanted to use in the first place.
Right.
And they were taken out of that equation by the prior administration. If they would've stuck with these guys, we probably wouldn't be in the position we're at now.
we have designed thousands of these bulkheads
It's that reputation.
and thousands of
We're,
ports.
we're counting on that reputation to.
No, they got
do
some
this
other company in
and to
California.
oversee it.
So,
Okay, that's good, but, you know, you still,
Just to add to that, so engineer plans and engineering technical specifications are done. I mean, whoever the engineer is, who's responsible to, we have a high level, 50+ years of, experts that we do the QC process with, senior technical reviews. I've worked with few firms, there's only a technical review, but we have a senior technical review and a QC review. We have a thorough review process to make sure the key elements of the design itself has been back checked, and and then when it comes to construction, I recommend to have one of us either be involved throughout the construction. I mean, also involved in the construction, and have a city's personnel also on the site.
I don't think we can inspect anything.
I would be an outsider
So-
along
Right.
with them.
I perfectly appreciate your concerns, and they are perfectly valid, but if I can just go back to Mr. Mayor's comments, to give you some comfort level.
can you step to the mic?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I perfectly appreciate your concerns, and that they're perfectly valid, but I'd just like to come back to the Mr. Mayor's comments. Moffett and Nichol is the US Navy's engineering contract for the Pacific Fleet.
Okay.
We are currently designing 2 dry docks, one in Guam, one in Washington State, and I think there's a third one going in Norfolk. The gentleman who oversees the QC of those new nuclear submarine dry docks will be the QC on this project.
Okay.
I just want to give you there's a steady hand on that tiller.
Thank you.
All right, so
Can I ask a quick question?
oh, yeah.
So, timeframe wise, and where we are, I guess, concern and liability wise, do we need to do some of option C, leveling and patchwork, to get through this summer, in this summer season, and then get into the actual repairs and completion of full-term repairs by fall? Because I don't see this happening between, we're in March, I don't see this happening by June or July. And are we gonna, I'm just saying, what's the timeframe, and what do we need to do to
Well,
get us to a safe place between now and then?
If you do A or B, you lose no service of the marina. We would just do it in phases. You don't lose any access to any of the marina. We would just close half off.
But how quick is that gonna happen? A or B?
Design would be
4 to 5 months.
4 to 5 months.
That's
Gotta-
my point.
Bidding and all that, another 2 months after that.
Right, so we're looking at 6 months out, we're in March, so we're looking at.
Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah.
We're looking at the end of September, before anything
good
may
point.
even start construction-wise.
So, yes, I mean.
We've just come through the summer season, we've got thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that seem to come down here, throughout that summer season. There are certain events that pull 15,000 people in downtown at one time. You got, as he said, cars parking on that event, on that Harvard parking lot. We've got all this. So do we have safety concerns that need to be addressed immediately to get us through this next 9 months
There's
get-
probably some
get to
closures
that
of some of those limitations, some of those front row parking spots that need to be,
Golf cart parking.
yeah, just limit that.
Well, he's also saying that the event deck is
I
not
would say-
supported by anything.
I would say
right,
quit
that's-
renting,
that's my
quit
point.
renting an
That's a
event
big
deck.
deal. I was out there today and noticed how you can, people can trip on that.
All I'm hearing is liability.
Hmm?
All I'm hearing is
We'll
liability.
get with Sean on that as far as the
There can be a
liability on the
temporary fix for
sidewalk.
the event deck though, so that whole event deck has to be taken out
Right.
or blocked for people to use. And any of these spots that are identified, no parking 15 feet on either side is what we recommend to, to block off and have reflective panes for trip hazards and, I mean, we can help you give some time, but again, I'm not trying to make a decision for you guys.
No, I know that. I'm just
But,
asking,
Yeah.
you know, in y'all's professional opinion and from the administration standpoint and our standpoint, what do we need to do now to get through the next 9 months until we can get this done properly? And that's my question.
I was almost
I don't
need
expect you to have an answer for me right now.
Yeah, we'll
Use them.
consider what
think we need
is
to
most
consider that.
ideal and best use of the money, and try to come up with a solution.
'Cause I think in regards to option C, why we're thinking it's the least recommended, because it's not the best or the ideal,
No, and it's not a long-term.
is because it was kind of viewed as, this is all you're gonna do.
Right.
But if C is really just, hold on a second, this is a liability concern,
Right.
we're going full bang, but we just need to spend this money now so we can eliminate those.
Well,
reduce those.
especially if there's high concern areas, you know, if there's 3 areas that we can address with foam and
Yeah.
slabjacking and get these sidewalks leveled
Buy
out
some time.
and get it safe, and it costs us $50,000 to get through the next 9 months by doing that, I think that's a help.
No, I agree. I
good
agree
way
with
to
John.
spend
I
some
agree
money.
with Jonathan. I think that's
Spend $350,000 to do is a little.
That's
you know,
spending
little more.
$300,000 is to guarantee
wall.
that you're gonna come back and spend the rest, but this,
Right.
spending the 50, 60, whatever it's gonna be, on the understanding that you are coming back to do a full budget.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
But give us some support, need that deck
Yeah.
and stuff. So
no, that's a very good question. Yeah.
what I would suggest is that we ask Moffett Nichols to possibly prepare a work order, contract type of thing that would design the entire project, whether it's A or B, whatever council decides.
It can
'Cause
be
that's what I heard from y'all,
Yeah,
is that, hey, we would recommend doing. Okay.
We'll phase it if that.
And then if that needs to be phased, then that can be phased, but
We'll
have
help you
y'all do-
separate those documents, go to construction, help you with the bidding process.
And that way the
and
council
phase
then
it.
can
Yeah.
make some decisions on A or B.
Right,
It
right.
sounds like, and in the short term, again, we can maybe in there have some language of some quick fixes that just take some liability.
Well, like I know Mike said, we could use our sidewalk guys to go in there and do some of this quick and get it. So what is that cost gonna be, and is it worth doing
Very minimal.
to save us?
I think from a safety standpoint, it's very simple to do, get with Sean, go down there. They've done it in the downtown area along the sidewalks and other areas where we find uneven sidewalks. They go down there in a couple of days and lift them, and, they'll last a little while. At least you got a surface there. And, and as far as the areas that need to be blocked off from vehicles, if we got bad sinkholes or something, coming, then that needs to just be blocked off and not use that area.
I agree, yeah. Exactly.
So, from an engineering cost standpoint,
Yes, sir.
how is it your contingent upon project cost is what your percentage base is?
So,
Or how are we, what is our fee schedule with y'all, or how are we paying
I have,
going forward? How do we pay for engineering service? Okay.
Based off of percentage.
Because it was originally proposed we would do a scope of work for the entire thing.
Okay.
We didn't know what the entire thing was, so we wanted to, let's just take a deep breath and
Okay.
let's see what we've got, and then we can do a scope for the rest of the work.
So the scope, how am I gonna be charged for the scope, the rest of the
my
work?
preliminary, I'll put together some numbers.
Yeah.
They're looking about $170,000 to $180,000 for bid package through bid
Okay.
package.
So you, 10%.
Is that all the way through? Is that just to put together the bid spec, or is that through inspection as well?
No, that's for advertising.
So that's just to get us to construction, and then you'll have this separate, so I'm guessing you'll have your design phase and then your construction phase, both laid out in your agreement, correct?
So the engineering design usually brings it off to notice of award,
Mm-hmm.
and then we would move into construction, inspection, administration, overseeing from notice to proceed from the contractor.
Okay, it'll be in the same agreement?
We can do it under the same agreement.
Yeah, I prefer it in the same agreement, so we know up front what we,
Yeah, I'd like to get a breakdown on that, what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Going, right, so, okay, see what we're looking at and keeping y'all honest too. I know they're negotiable.
Hey, we've just got one, if you could just give me a sec, can you just go back to the presentation a second? The tour of the yes, you're gonna find this interesting. There's one more slide. So I was back home in the UK in November for Thanksgiving, and I turned over the Sunday newspaper, a major Sunday newspaper, and I found this. One more slide. Oh, it's not in there. Oh, it's not in that version. So I found an advertisement in the Sunday newspaper for a tour to the United States of America. He flew to Nashville, Chattanooga, Memphis, New Orleans, Tennessee, and then it said on the last line, and skip over to Bay St. Louis and walk your waterfront. So if you wonder how far the economic impact of your waterfront investment's going, you are truly an international destination. I'll send that to you if you want to. I'm sorry you didn't get that in your presentation.
Thank you.
I thought huge amongst all of us.
Cool. Thank you.
Anything else, Vaughn?
Any more questions?
I'm good.
Good, thank you.
Cool, thank y'all very much.
Thank you,
y'all
appreciate the
very
time.
Do we want to set up a workshop, or we want to wait for them to get their package to us, what we want to do moving forward?
I think we all on the same page, move forward. with
Yeah, I
it
mean,
and
we're,
all, and
I think we're,
get their package, get started working on it, and we can workshop something once they get going.
yeah, it sounds to me that the next step would hopefully have a, contract for engineering on the next council agenda. That's in 2 weeks, and then let these guys do their things, because it sounds like the way they're gonna bid it, you have time to make the decision whether you wanna do option A or option B, or some combination of the two with alternate bidding.
We could also put in the scope of work kind of a gut check at 20 or 30%. This is what we're gonna go forth and design. You know, speak now for hold your peace kind of stuff,
Right.
and, but that's that.
okay.
And then once we get to that, we can go full bore to bid packages.
All right,
Just to
and-
get consensus.
And also, you talk about add-ons to this scope as well.
Yeah.
Right, so we did A, that takes care of the whole wall
And
and
event
everything,
Each
right?
wall and event deck.
Just doesn't.
Waiting
do
for FEMA to come
the
back.
south wall, right?
Yes.
So what would be the add-on if you did?
I'm not quite sure how
Option
we
A.
would break out the adults. I'd have to talk with our foundation
I
people.
mean, what would it be, right? If we're doing a project option A, there's nothing
There
else.
isn't
There's
anything
not,
else.
that's my question, there's nothing else if we do option.
A.
Okay.
Option B, that if the bid comes back lower than the engineer's estimate, and the funds available, we've got some elbow room to do some more.
Because you did, on option B, you did 11 probes, found 10 voids, right?
I might have one other question.
Okay.
So if you're gonna do that event deck and then that that's a west wall.
Yeah.
Are you gonna wrap around the south a little bit, so it was separated at one point, I thought they joined it back together again.
So that's not as, that
The
wall is
south
completely
wall
being
is gonna be
replaced.
completely replaced. So if they went back in there and wrapped around that south wall, then it's gonna be torn out and replaced whenever they do the FEMA project.
We would coordinate with the engineer of record for the south wall replacement to make sure those.
Because I just wanted a seamless
Yes, sir.
transition,
Yes,
so
Absolutely.
that you made it so they could connect to it.
Absolutely.
Usually it's usually an overlap, the way it should be done.
Okay.
Is an overlap,
Slip, slip.
and if they go first, that contractor is supposed to excavate and do that overlap and put the material back for the repair contractor to come back and overlap.
And they'll
again.
be in contact with them two contractors when that comes out, to make sure on that.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
How much would it take to tear that event deck out?
We
Put
actually-
5 more slips in there.
Well,
I mean, it's terrible. We don't use it. And we just talked about it.
No.
We thought it'd be something
on
great to
Sean's
build, but it's
plan.
like.
Sean has discussed
it
it about
hasn't-
adding,
it
how
hasn't-
many?
it hasn't did anything to prove, it hasn't brought us any money, right?
Bring a lot more money in slips than it would.
Yeah, so I mean, what, is there realistically an option to take it out, drive some pilings and make 6 more 60-foot slips? It's a numbers game, right?
Yeah.
How much does it cost to rip out versus how much the revenue you're gonna generate from the new 60-foot slip?
Yeah.
And compared to repairs.
Versus revenue from what's been used.
Is that an add-on?
I mean,
I don't, it's an idea, right? Because we've talked about it.
I mean,
It
that's a
hasn't,
huge design add-on, so
it
I don't
hasn't
know.
generated any revenue and,
Yeah, I'd probably stick to the,
right. Yep. I mean, we've talked about it because it's really, we thought it'd be a great idea to put it there, and we've had 2, 3, 5 weddings in 10 years, you know.
Yeah, we heard that the wedding planner is not, the event planner is not around anymore.
Yeah, so
So-
to me, honestly,
No, we have talked about this. We looked into it, but it was told that, you know, that's one of the big spaces you all have in the downtown area if some events
Something that's.
were needed. But again, for cost, yes. I mean,
I'd like to look at it.
we tear this thing down and put more slips. Yes, it will generate money, right? Over the years, it will pay off.
We could,
At least 50% of them.
we
Yeah.
could put in the scope of work to give you an absolute A or B. It's all about benefit cost, right?
Yep, yeah, no,
Put that into the scope.
yeah, I mean,
It's a numbers game.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other?
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much. Y'all
Thank y'all.
when you drive home.
Good discussions. All right, Mr. Mayor, got your report.
Yeah, want to introduce y'all to Brent Garriga. He's our new park director at this time. He's formerly with the Bayway School District and everything. And, he has hit the ground running back in January, meeting with different municipalities, how they run theirs and all. Wanted to introduce y'all, let him give y'all a fill in on what he's been doing for the last 2 months and what's in the future. Brent?
Nice to meet you guys again. My name's Brent Garriga. Recognize a couple of you. I know that's a tough act to follow there. So, first of all, I like to say the job that I have now is awesome. To be able to go, we're not talking about that, okay? Parks and Recreations is where I'm at now. Like the mayor said, former educator, stepped out of the realm of education here recently. Was at the Bay Waveland School District at the high school as a coach for a variety of different age groups. What I have been doing in my 2-month time here is just seeing where we're at with Bay St. Louis with parks, recreation, sports, arts, and comparing what we're doing. I hear a lot about what used to happen, what we used to do, where we used to play, and those times are gone. The way to move for recreational sports in the city has got to be forward. I've gone and I've met with a couple guys with Mississippi Gulf Coast Tourism, Let's Play Mississippi, and I describe the Bay as a powder keg of potential for sport. Our citizens they want things for their youth. Our senior citizens they want things to be provided for them, in the educational terms, an adequate education or an adequate opportunity to have more opportunity for sports. The big four is just kind of how I've broken them down. The only competitive game in town is soccer. Soccer's got it going on. They got the county fields going on. That league is well established. And you can see that trend throughout the school system. Won a South State, won a state championship in soccer. That's huge for family members to be able to watch their kids go and talk about, oh yeah, they used to do this, and now they're playing underneath the lights for a state championship is huge. Baseball is fully going. I'm waiting on a schedule. Baseball and softball numbers are down. We're competing with travel ball. That's just, it is what it is. That's across the board, across the state, across other programs that are operating in the state. Where we want to move, last night had a great meeting at the high school with the high school football coaches, looking at bringing back tackle football. everybody's all about that, the growth for that for, our high schools that'll be something that's shown, once that gets implemented. The other, basketball, I've been talking with a variety of coaches, high school coaches, recreational coaches, had just, right before I came in here, some NBA coach, player that, he wants to get involved or whatnot. I'm looking at all options. And that's what I told him. I've said, absolutely, give him my contact information. I want to see what he could do for us. But keeping it local is, I'm a huge fan of. We're just looking at different options to get those 4 big sports rolling. Flag coming in the Bay for June. The outpour that I've had for that has been completely positive. But what I'm focusing on is going to be more family-oriented activities that we could do out at the complex. We've got the space for that. We've already talked about organizing and being more proactive in saying, let's use this area for this. I've been at the baseball fields. I've been to soccer fields. People are starting to realize my name, Garriga, and they're starting to put that face. I know it's not much to look at, but I don't know if it's the reflection of my head or whatnot, but they're starting to come up to me and approach me and say, hey, are you? And I'm like, yes, I'm the guy. If you got a complaint, if you've got something you want to see grow, I'm getting those conversations. I'm getting them flowing. So the big 4 are huge. I had no idea about any of that last conversation, but some of the things that I've talked about with Play Gulf Coast Mississippi group, were using our resources. I'm a huge outdoor enthusiast. Having a kayak tournament, or I've looked at what other cities are doing. Florida, hotspot coastal areas, paddleboarding races. I tried getting our name thrown in the hat for the dragon boat races. That got shut down. That would have just been awesome. My vision for that was, that would have been, if you've never been to a dragon boat race, they do that in Gulfport. They said we have to have a closed body of water. So I guess they're scared of white caps and things. Right. So the parks, I've been to every single park. I've sat down in every park and thought, as a parent, what I would like to see, as far as safety. We fixed some gates. We've done some things. I've got my guys this week using the rain to our advantage. We've been deep cleaning them, bleaching them down, using the rain really helped us out last weekend. But there's as far as how we can grow the parks, right now, most parks are a little slow. So it's been hard for me to gauge how much, each park is being utilized by the citizens. So that's a big deal. Arts, I realize that, not everybody's family are sports oriented. That's fine. Bay St. Louis is an artsy community. I have reached out to the Hancock Arts, and I'm trying to work some things out with, as far as using just different areas and opportunities for people to, what are they do canvas arts. I've looked at different places, looked at the depot area. As far as senior citizen things, I've really seen other areas have, they do things, and I'm just like, wow, that's, once we get the big 4 rolling, being able to move forward and being able to just provide family fun opportunities for the citizens is what it's about. So that's where we're at. That's where, as far as what other cities are doing, it's hard to compare Bay St. Louis. What they're doing up in Picayune, we are not there. Okay. And that was a harsh reality to kind of swallow, just to see their, everything's turf. Their playgrounds are phenomenal. Our playgrounds, if you've been to your playground in your ward or whatnot, and you think that's awesome, we need to revisit that. We're good maintaining that stuff. I'm learning is people are going to do what they do. I've already found a couple of spots where I'm like, okay, we got to take care of this issue, safety things with the little plastic barriers. We're working with removing some that they appear. Like I said, people are gonna do, things like that, that we're just gonna have to maintain. And again, with my position not being filled for whatever that length of time, those are the parts that I'm learning as far as where can we go, how can we get, more people involved, more people utilizing these, parks and things. So, yeah, that's, I'm excited. I really am. I've been, looking and seeing, like I said, as far as compared to other cities, some cities, they run their own leagues, kind of like what we do. Some cities, the director is hands-on with running, whatever activity they're doing. So, that's where I'm at. That's who I am. Like I said, I'm glad to be on board. I've had nothing but support and guidance. I'm learning a lot, and look forward to some big things as far as sports, and also gotta keep and remember our arts for the people that aren't involved in that. So.
Great idea.
Give us your number.
I got. So if you want to pay me, oh, you meant
Right.
like a phone.
We'll
Well, I
send
don't,
that
yeah,
out to you.
we'll circulate his,
We'll send
I don't
that
want
to
him
you.
to publicly give out his cell phone.
Oh, I thought you were just giving me a budget number.
Have you looked at doing some beach volleyball?
I have.
Because I get a lot of calls about girls.
Right. Oh,
volleyball.
absolutely. So I get.
It's only a couple poles, couple nets.
Right.
couple legs.
That's county. So I want to get and look at what Long Beach did. I
You
want
don't
to
have
look.
to be on the beach to do it. Just a little sand, a little spot, and in one of these parks. Huh?
Yeah.
In Waveland?
Oh wow.
Ooh, man, they got
Wrong business.
So
that.
Different business model.
Man, it's on the beach.
Yeah.
maybe where you can see the beach.
So one of the things we've been working on, Mr. Garriga, is getting a bathroom installed at Julia Street Park. I think we was waiting for Mr. Kanishi to give us a final cost on a trailer. I don't know if we ever got that or not, have we?
Yeah.
The final, because I knew we got one back like a year ago. We got a cost on it, but did we get an updated cost?
Yeah, a couple months ago, he had that on his.
See, I couldn't find it. Well, I saw that.
We'll get him send it back.
Yeah, I think we talked about funding it, and so moving forward with that. So if you can, since you're over the parks now, we'll find out about what's going on with that. Give us a report on where we're at and when we can start getting it installed and bought.
Okay. Yeah. One of the things that I'm constantly learning is things that were already implemented prior to my hire. So when I find those out, I go and I say, okay, like those are the things that's the learning curve. So, how I've been instructed and to just slow down and understand this process. That's the process, the municipality speed and how to go about long term.
Right.
I'm not looking for. I understand with that last project you have to look at short term. Those are the implementation that I want to go with to say, okay, what we have now, our big four, that's our short term. Expanding from that and being able to, come up with unique ways to allow our citizens to enjoy Bay St. Louis. You've got people across the world that are talking about us, and being able to provide some good stuff for our citizens is where we're at.
And Brent, we thank you for coming and sharing with us kind of your goals, short-term goals. It sounds like, again, you've kind of got the four main areas of target, and we've got great established leagues, as you mentioned, in soccer and baseball, and then getting back to football and basketball. But
Absolutely.
we just encourage open dialogue. How can we achieve those short-term goals? And you mentioned long-term goals, and what can we do from a council standpoint, whether that's, we've discussed, the GCRF funds and how can we help with that. We discussed, the potential of for a couple years now of a combination fee with these short-term rentals that is, not a burden of locals, but would be more of a tourist to where it's earmarked for Parks and Rec. So now that we have you in this role, we can kind of get that long-term goals and objectives and have a more concise plan, and then try to assist with that. So again, we just encourage open dialogue. We're glad to have you. It's been a couple years since we've had this position open, so look forward to working with you and hearing more about your goals and insights and what we can do to help as well.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
So, yeah, another thing, I know a couple years ago, Flag Football League tried to come in here, $185 a kid, right?
Heard about that.
We can't do that.
Yeah.
They want $185.
What we're
a kid.
looking at here, matter of fact, we had this conversation earlier. The first year to get it going, we're looking at probably sponsoring it in-house as a city. it's very limited
Yeah, not much.
expenses on this.
Right.
I think he's already come across the flags and all that would be
The biggest.
given to the league, so, we're looking at that, and that's gonna be in the month of June, if I'm not mistaken, twice a week, 8 games for 'em.
It's
Something to
it's-
kick it off, get the league
We're
going,
kicking it off, literally.
and then
Yep.
you can get a board to move forward with it as
Yeah,
well.
no,
maybe
that's a
after
great, yeah, but that league tried to come in and I
Yeah,
called and I said, how much is it?
there was a lot of interest in it.
$185, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of interest was in that
Was,
league.
until they found
Until,
out. But it was
until-
it was somebody's business.
It was.
Right.
The guy that was doing that,
It was a
it
Drew
his business.
Brees,
He went,
linked to him,
yeah, they were
his league and
planting these
all.
around.
Yeah.
Heard about that. Yeah, the meeting I had last night with the future board and they were putting it together. They're getting everything squared away with the Secretary of State. They're getting there. So once they get all that, we'll be able to, as a city, set up how we want to be. Accountability is one word that comes to mind that I want to stress for our leagues, to do what's best for the kids.
Yes, yeah.
And that's my motto. I wanna give each kid, our ladies that were here earlier with the kids with disabilities. I've already talked with trying to get buddy ball.
Yep.
I think kids with disabilities they need the opportunity to be able to, where we can. It's a lot easier on a turf field. So there's got to be there's going to be some cooperation with Picayune. I know he told me he would help me do that. Can't be my first year. He did advise me not to try to tackle that my first year, but seeing where I can fit that within the baseball season, and then also allow able-bodied players to maybe be able to appreciate, their legs hurt after practice. Well, you're able to, young people coming from a classroom and seeing students that might not have had the appreciation to be able to use their legs, arms, spine, and to help out with a kid to have fun with sports, I think is just a great learning experience that young people need to be able to appreciate.
Good. Anybody else? Hey. Thank you, sir. Glad to have you on board.
Oh, yeah. Y'all have a
Thank you,
good one.
Brent. Thank you, Brent.
Next discussion, Mr. Mayor.
Yes. What this is Old Town Merchants is trying to create, I think it's the third Wednesday at the depot. They're gonna line up bands, they're gonna take care of everything back there. But what it is trying to draw people to that area, and start linking the downtown to that on Wednesday evenings, once a month for, I think it's 6-7 months, something on that.
It's not evenings, it says it's 10 to 5.
Yeah,
right?
10 to 5. I didn't understand that. The time says 10 to
No.
5.
5 to 8.
Okay, yeah, so I was gonna ask about that.
Applications is 10 to
Yeah,
5.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering too. 'cause
Sorry about that.
Don't work out.
No.
yeah. I'm working.
So it's just an evening deal, it's never, we're not using it. And they're asking that we waive the fee since it is to promote the city of Bay St. Louis, and we would be a sponsor along with it. And again, when this was created back there, when we went out and asked for funding to develop this, to try to, help the area, revitalize and everything. And that was one of the things, is trying to bring as many events back there we can. And again, we think it's a very good deal. It's very limited usage of, a stage, electricity. I think Silver Slipper had said they were, even talked about a stage, which I don't think we need that because we do have stages back there. Very minimum and all, but it could be an opportunity for, once a month to start bringing people back there when nothing's being used and this. And again, it's our local merchants putting this on, trying to help all of our local merchants. Yeah. So they're just asking, if they can use this area and move forward with it.
Mayor, you mentioned bands being one use of it. I mean, is there gonna be vendors, or what's the other plan? Is it gonna just be a band night, or what's
No,
concert?
and their thing is they're wanting to bring vendors from downtown set up down there as well, in that area. You have vendors across the street, the retail across the street, they would be involved in it if they choose to go set their tent up. If someone has a shop downtown and all, then they would bring that, and set up over there as well. So it would be an opportunity to sell and everything, out of their shops at a different location, and the band would just be extra to try to draw people for that.
And it
Would-
says they have food and art, and I'm assuming along with foods and beverages as well.
Food, how would the food be there? Because you've got the restaurants at the depot.
Yeah, the food right now, as long as we have participation and all from locals, then it wouldn't be brought in. But if it gets to a point, is what we was told, and if nobody wants to do it, then they would probably bring an outsider in. But
What
they
mean,
feel like
what
that
is that?
Outside what?
Like a vendor, food vendor in, or?
if no one wants to provide food, no one says, that they're not, but they don't see that as a problem,
And we suggest that they
Talking
bring
food trucks?
restaurants that's already in the depot.
Right. They want to use them. They want to use, opportunities downtown could come back there and set up and everything. And what it is, it's local merchants trying to just relocate to an area to bring more locals out on a night that's usually not much going on.
Are the depot establishments part of this Old Town Merchants Association? Are they in on this? Because it doesn't seem, they've got the restaurants right there, they've got the services there, then they're gonna bring it across to a table in the depot. I mean, it seems like people would go there and then they go to the restaurants. I
And
can see
they
that.
will, some of them. But some of them choose to go over there for different events. They've taken their tables and brought them across the street, their little tents and set up right there on the ground when there's events.
With outside vendors coming in, whether it's, booths set up, how do we, who's gonna be spearheading the collection of the taxes on that, tax revenue?
Downtown merchants.
Downtown merchants?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it just brings in a whole lot of different, right, unintended issues, right? I think if, again, right, it's $200 to rent the depot as a nonprofit. $200. If you got,
They're not nonprofit though.
it's they're a not-for-profit group, right? So I think it's a not-for-profit. Old Town Merchants
It's
are
a
not
nonprofit. It is a nonprofit. Okay.
Right, so
Okay.
so it's $200, right? So if you get 10 vendors, that's $20 a piece to pay the fee, right? It's not huge. If you're gonna come down there and sell now, 2 weeks or 2 times we did it, now we got 5 food trucks there. They're bringing in the.
Well, yeah,
the
and one of the
businesses.
things,
I just
this
don't want it
this
to
is
grow into something and hurting the businesses, the
Correct.
brick and mortar.
Competes with the
And that's one of the things we're looking at, is to get it started, that, we're asking to waive these fees for that. And then, again, when next year comes around, because this is something they want to continue like Second Saturday and even grow. And I don't know if it would ever grow into a monthly deal or not, after this, but,
Right.
If it did, it would be there on a Wednesday and moving forward now. But as it grows, hopefully, then they'll have the opportunities maybe to where more people are getting involved in and bringing the people out down there.
And I agree with a couple, the points Councilman Seal made, is that if you are charging vendors to set up a booth there, and it is a $200 fee, that helps us at least cover our expenses, because we're gonna have to get it prepped, we're gonna have to get it cleaned up, we're gonna have to go ahead and, so we're gonna incur some expenses on that. So that would at least cover what we would be putting into it.
Yeah, I think
Like
minimum
Right.
$200.
Somebody.
It's just not a whole lot of money, right? If you divide it between 10 people, 20 people, right? Cost of the event, I guess, will alcohol be served? And if it is, do they have to provide security? Is insurance required? $1 million policy is required for the depot. If Near Eads is a nonprofit organization, they go back there and they pay $400 to go back there and use it.
But I think you're looking at two different things.
They provide something for the community, but it is a
But you're
craft
talking
show.
about two different apples
Well,
with Near Eads
Well, but you are.
and
you
Old
got
Town
vendors.
Merchants. You're
But-
you're
you have
trying to
vendors.
promote businesses
Right, but you
in
have
our
vendors
city.
coming back there, so we only will allow Old Town Merchant vendors at this and nobody else? Cause I don't know the answers. That's my
Mackenzie's
question.
involved.
I'm gonna help out. So
Yes.
I've been setting up this whole project. Anybody that's aware of the Wednesdays in the park in New Orleans, extremely similar to that. My idea for the Wednesdays at the Depot is to allow all the members of the Old Town Merchants Association, all the businesses in that downtown area. There's been issues between, saying there's Old Town Main Street and then there's the Depot, and the Depot wants to connect that bridge between the
Right.
two. Trying to do a Wednesday local situation to bring those locals back out. I feel like I'm trying to boycott second Saturdays because it's a lot of tourists. So for that, we would have just the merchants of that area free of charge, because a lot of them are single business owners, and so it's asking them to shut down their shops, to pack up all their stuff, to set up a table to come over there. And so asking them or charging them any additional fees, is hindering that, because I want it to be everyone in the Old Town area. already had a few bands volunteer their time for those first few months to get it kicked off. As for food and vendors, we have across in the depot area, but then we also have, you know, our food vendors within Old Town that can set up tents and stuff like that. That's what we're hoping for. If I'm not getting enough participation after the first 3 months, gonna bring in outside vendors or offer a allotted amount of spots, but they will be local-ish within Hancock County. I don't want to go, you know, a bunch of roadside vendors and stuff coming in and it being all different and keeping it very local. So the additional fees would come from, let's say I allocate 20 spots for vendors and only 10 of my Old Town merchants are participating, then those 10 spots will be filled with Hancock vendors, but for a fee, and then same with food choices.
Yeah, so that's where we have to charge. I mean, we let's see.
Just the electrical cost alone.
But yeah, well, it's $200. I got 10 people come, it's $20, right? I get it, it's small business, but again, I get if you got 20 vendors, it's $10, right? They think they're gonna make $10, they're gonna come down there, right? And I know everything's for free, and it's a good deal at $200. quite honestly. Yeah, but it's a promotion. I agree, we're promoting downtown, the Old Town merchants in that area. But again, cost benefit analysis, it doesn't work for 3 months now. I got 10 food trucks down there, and the brick and mortars aren't making a dime. And they're driving away with their sales tax, right? And it's a lot of, it's a wonderful, I'm not saying it's not a good idea. Saying, how do we make sure it doesn't get out of hand, make sure we're controlling it the right way. If it's only Bay St. Louis residents, Old Town merchant residents, and that's it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I don't want to say, okay, well, anybody in Hancock County, well, anybody in Hancock Parish can come now, right? They just bring in more people in, and it gets out of hand, and the city's footing the bill for everything.
Yeah, no, I'm planning on keeping it small, and as of right now.
We'd like for it to grow, but we gotta manage it, right?
Yeah, and I completely agree, and I want to keep it as local as possible, like not even just Bay St. Louis. I'm starting just in the Old Town area and with those Old Town merchants. And with the start of this, you know, I did receive a small grant through Coastal Mississippi for it, but I'm looking to hopefully use that for the bands to have them come out and that kind of be the big promotion along with those vendors. So at least for the first few months, I was hoping that we could waive that fee to kind of kick it off and at least get the ball rolling and get more participation from everyone. I think it's going to be a slow roll until everyone's like, hey, this is really cool. Come out on Wednesdays, come to this.
Right.
And I also think it's great for the city too, because it's not going to be all those tourists that are coming there on that Saturday. It's going to be locals that are seeing that venue, and those are the people that would rent that on weekends and for weddings and for future events. That I think would be a great promotion for y'all.
Great promotion for the area, no doubt. I mean, we spent a ton of money back there to make it nice to.
And that's on your point. The grant was written to get that over $1 million for the grounds with this philosophy in mind, to bring people back there, to use them grounds, and then to keep charging for everything.
Well, we just, but we gotta charge. We can't just say, well, we can just say anybody can come back there and
Why
not
do we
pay.
have to charge?
Because there's vendors that are paying to be there.
Yeah,
She said the vendors were free. I thought
Okay,
she-
but they're making money, so we are
they're
gonna be
making
using the
money.
resources
We're
to
not-
clean and,
yeah.
so I mean, it's, we have to at least.
So we should charge for everything. So when they go play pickleball, we need to charge them to play pickleball?
No,
That's
because
not
that's
apples to apples.
recreational,
That's
because
not-
that's
that's not-
recreational
not.
facility.
No,
You drink
it's
too
a
much Kool-Aid.
facility that we have to maintain.
You're
It's a
drinking too much
facility
Kool-Aid.
with tax. Huh?
So.
Let's not get, no, Doug.
Yeah, but no, we have to get to the point of.
So should we
it's
give the $1
required
million
to be.
back to the state and say we don't want to?
No, we did. We have done economic development back there. You're right. We get sales tax revenue back there. That's what the business is for. That's exactly why we did it. We have economic development back there. We have business back there. They're paying taxes today.
And you got
So we're gonna bring a truck in there and say, you can buy a $5 po' boy instead of going buy a $15 po' boy,
First of all, we keep
right?
talking about food vendor trucks. I don't think they're allowed right now in our ordinance,
Yeah.
so we need to start talking about food
You
vendor
know, so
trucks.
we got to be smart with what we're doing, so it don't get out of hand. And I think this is a great program, and I don't think $200 is a crazy amount. I mean, that's me. I mean, get donations to pay for it,
I'll
right?
pay the first 3 months for you.
Yeah, well,
All right,
I'll
just
pay
$600
later.
check tomorrow.
you know,
'Cause I think,
so, and that's good. And
I think,
would've
I think we're
been-
looking at
I've
this
been
as too
willing-
much of a business. At some point, we're not just a business as a city.
We are a business.
We have to, it's
Go-
not
go
ours to
rent a-
give,
go
it's
rent
not
a
ours to
community
give,
center.
Josh, we have to cover our expenses.
let me
We're
ask you a question.
saying then there's nothing back there.
Go rent a community center in county, see how much they charge you. Go have a benefit in it. The county perceives that as the taxpayers paid for it, taxpayers funded it, and some of that is community centers for a reason. We got a community center we charge $1,800 for, that most people can't afford to even rent.
We're losing $50,000 a year on it.
Well, let's not have community centers then.
And there's,
I'm just saying.
and there's,
We're a
I mean, there's
business.
no such thing as free money.
We're
There's
losing
$1 million
$50,
grant
$60
that
million
was
on the
$300,000.
depot a
Yeah,
year.
we're a
you know?
business.
Well, it sounds like we've already had
As it
some
is.
donations that are recommended to get this thing off the.
Yeah,
off
no,
the
I think
ground.
it's a great event, just to get people back there. We've been trying to get people back there. I think we're just going, we have different ideas, and I think that's why we have to nail it down. Because everybody has a different idea on what we can and should be
So
doing.
Mopar Day in the Bag have to pay for the
They do.
grounds? Okay.
$1 million insurance liability policies, gotta be required.
I think we
Anybody.
established that anybody that's gonna be rendering that and renting that out, yes, they go by the fees that we set. That's why we have a fee schedule. If
Yeah.
not, we just.
I mean, because then we could just give it to anybody, right?
Again,
But I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
It's just, let's figure out how to make it work. I think we do need to put some guidelines, stipulations on vendors, outside vendors, Old Town vendors, you know, because maybe you don't get no vendors, and then
Well,
you get,
Well, yes, it's gonna be all of the Old Town vendors, and we're setting it up, and I'm allocating that first 3 months to give that opportunity to get the merchants set up, and again, you know, a lot of it, the store owners are the people that are working that day in the store, so I'm asking them maybe to close 30 minutes early, pack up all their stuff and run over there, which is a lot. So, trying to make it as encouraging as possible, but
Yeah.
after that 4-month mark, we're gonna reevaluate what that kind of looks like, because I'm trying to raise money for the Old Town Merchants Association and tourism and get that going,
kicked
make it a
off.
good
Yeah.
local event.
No, that's a great, and I just think we need to set up some guidelines on how it's gonna run to manage it. That way we all know what its rules or boundaries, not, you know, that we're gonna operate in.
Okay.
Mr. McPhail, you had a,
Jim McPhail, I obviously have a big investment in the depot. I have a lot of tenants in the depot. And, you know, Mopar comes in there. They bring ice chests, beer, sandwiches. I think there was a food truck there that last time. I was told that they weren't selling trinkets, not food. But, I think my tenants would have a big issue with other businesses coming in and profited off of their investment in the depot. The other thing is I own North Beach. If they start bringing business down to North Beach, you know, I wouldn't be happy about that. And, you know, PJ's Grill Creamery, if we had, you know, somebody showed up on the parking lots and started selling food there or liquor. I think it's a good idea to have the bands there and events. And I think that it should only be, you know, invested people in that area. I don't know, we need to ship people in from Hancock County to sell trinkets or whatever they do. That'd be my concern.
We appreciate the
Well, I think
perspective
he's
on that.
trying to
Would you like to
bring
see the
people
Old
from
Town
downtown.
merchants? Jim, would you like to see just the Old Town merchants and people from around Old Town, or not at all?
No, I think, look, festivals are great. The problem is when you don't get enough participation, who makes the decision, okay, Uncle Joe's is there, the wine shop's there, some other. But that's not enough. And then they say, okay, we're gonna bring in more people. We're gonna bring in people from Hancock County. You know, I think it's gotta be local. I don't know where you draw the line.
yeah. Could we get the administration kind of just draw some guidelines that we can look at for it?
Well, I mean, we have a fee schedule now, so.
I mean, guidelines
so what
for
we're saying,
what can be, who can go, or what can they do if it's a
well,
event?
a question is, you know, Joe Blow comes, rents it out, they set up a hamburger booth there selling food. Is that allowed or not allowed?
Yep.
That's an outsider
Right.
coming in, renting this place. You gonna tell them they can't sell food there?
Well, that's the line, right? How do we figure that out?
I think when they rent this space, you know,
Well, don't we not allow food trucks in the city? They're not allowed
for
in,
special events, they are.
they are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
On
people
special
can put a
events, yeah.
food truck on cruising the coast?
No,
Because cruising.
that's not their special event.
Okay.
They have to go through cruising the coast, though.
No, they would have to go through us. We're the sponsor of it. It's our sponsorship for the city. You know, Cruising Coast is not the one that say Joe Blow can go put up a food truck over there. Now, they had that sponsorship
Right.
trailer is one thing different. But if everybody wanted to come in and put up a food truck on every corner, we would try to stop that.
Well, I think the premise here is not to take away and denigrate from the business at the depot, and those are established residents already, so. I
And
mean,
that's what they're trying to do.
Well, that's why, again,
We had on,
Jim.
Jim.
Up to the microphone.
Where PJ's and Grill Creamery was, we had Kathleen Johnson, I don't know if y'all remember her. I ended up having to evict her because she was putting up tents every weekend in front of the Grill Creamery and the PJ's before it was that. They weren't paying sales tax. They were just coming in and sucking money out of the local merchants, old-time merchants, and weren't paying sales tax. So I think that, you know, if you bring in these merchants, you're gonna not only hurt my tenants, the food vendors there, you're gonna hurt yourselves, because they're not gonna pay taxes. Who's gonna track that?
I think, yeah, that question came up, and I think you said the merchants is going, Old Town Merchants is gonna track the taxes? Okay.
They have to.
So I guess, yeah, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I think, you know, I hate to use Neary, Neary tracks their money that they collect.
Yeah, I mean, it's some way,
as well.
certain way through the state, you gotta go and collect each vendor and sign and, yeah, I don't know what the details are, but
Ella
they,
might be able to touch on that.
Whoever's the event sponsor, they have to actually submit those sales tax. So like Nereid's collects, she goes to every booth, they have to pay sales tax. Same thing at OLG, the church festival, they actually go collect the taxes for, I'm sure Pirates, when they have different things come in, when their taxes collected, the organization that is in charge of it has to actually collect those taxes, and they submit them directly to the state of Mississippi.
okay, so there's
Department of
forms, I
Revenue.
guess, I'm sure you're aware of all the forms and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's a benefit to get people getting back there, right? It's a beautiful place, to spend a ton of money back there to make it nice, and we wanna promote it.
So,
We just wanna stay in the guidelines and make sure we don't get outside the guidelines and hurt the local businesses and the vendors. That's the biggest thing
Yeah,
for me.
and I don't think this is the intent to hurt.
No,
I
it's
think
not.
This
It-
is the intent
Yeah.
to
I don't
bring
think-
people back
right.
there to help them on a Wednesday night, you know,
Yep.
no different than, you know, Second Saturday was created to bring people downtown, you know, and all as well. And, you know, some events that goes back there, I don't know what they do across the street. You know, you mentioned Mopar, you know, bringing their food and everything in. You know, I don't know what, you know, the merchants do back there for that day, you know, or with Neary's coming in, you know, that brings it and brings.
But
vendors
Mopar's a
in.
private event.
It is, but, you know, they gonna evidently have to pay for that grounds as well, you know. And last year they wasn't charged because the event was already planned and all, you know, before we come up with the fee and everything, you know. And you just got different events, you know. You got, Dave Maley goes back there once or twice a year, and Bugfest, I think it's called, but just great
It
event,
was
you
last
know.
year,
But,
last time.
you know, it's not there to make money for anyone. It's to pay, you know, his expenses for his band and this and that and everything, but it gets people back there, and it's an awesome event and brings people back there, and hopefully they do go across the street and spend money and all. And when we put in for this, you know, it was there, and one of the big things, we helped revitalize that area,
Yep.
you know. That's not the reason that area is revitalized right now, that them grounds. It's helping on certain occasions when we have good events back there and everything. But the reason that place is revitalized is because the owner has taken and fixed all that up back there and has created this, you know, revitalization as well. But it's, you know, the depot ground is there now to help provide more and to keep these businesses in business and all, and connect, you know, the depot district to the downtown district, to where one day, you know, it's all one flow and everything, and I think you'll see it come out in a comprehensive plan to where, you know, you get them and joining together and everyone benefits from it and all, you know.
So, you rent the, community hall. You have an event in there. You have vendors. You know, they make thousands of dollars off renting that hall. What happens there? I mean,
They rent
we
it.
just had chili cook-off. Okay,
Now, they get that for free. That's part of the negotiated thing. They get 4 free rentals a year.
For Rotary.
oh, the
Rotary.
Rotary
okay.
building.
Say if it wasn't the Rotary.
Yeah, okay.
All right, and you make thousands of dollars, okay, on renting that hall, with the vendors. How do they pay? Do they pay sales taxes on that? Because most of them gonna walk out not paying sales taxes.
Something like the Rotary Chili Cook-Off or tourism's,
But we,
cook-off, it's a fundraiser. It's not, that's not, you don't pay sales tax off of that. That's all donation based.
okay, say it's not the Rotary. It's another organization come in and, you know, now they're making thousands of dollars on that one night.
I don't know, Mr. Jeffrey, I can't think of an example. I don't know of anybody who hosts.
Okay,
I'm
just say-
assuming like the Arts Alive, I think they set up booths in there, and I'm assuming if somebody is, if they're setting up selling their art or selling wares of whatever sort, you know, I'm assuming that Arts Alive would go around and collect sales tax
Say if
from
we
those
have Mardi
people.
Gras ball in there, and we make thousands of dollars on the liquor, selling the liquor.
I don't know of anybody who sells a, I mean, that means you have to have a liquor permit, and that's a whole different animal.
If they have to have a liquor permit license to sell.
Or they selling plates.
Under that
But
permit.
the you
I'm
gotta
just-
differentiate
it's
between a benefit, a nonprofit, and a
Yeah, I mean, it's
for-profit
very
business.
I'm not trying to avoid your question. It's very fact specific as
Right.
to
It has to be a
who you're
for-profit business.
talking about. Like if you're talking about Casa, they have a Mardi Gras ball back there. People are going to that through sponsorships, through a donation of the organization, and there's no,
Well, I'm not talking about costumes.
yeah, I'm just trying to think that's the only Mardi Gras ball that I'm,
Real people have theirs back there.
yeah. And so that's what I don't,
Yeah.
Casa, I'm
Do they
familiar
sell
with. I
alcohol?
don't know how.
Well, they have,
St. Rose uses the grounds and they have all their booths. I don't know how that goes.
I think somebody said the event sponsor is required to collect sales tax.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
If it's something that they're supposed to be
for-profit, it's
collecting
not a
sales
fundraiser.
tax on, then the event sponsor has to do that. And the same thing with like liquor permits. If, whether it be Real People, Casa, St. Rose, liquor license and permits are what they are. So if they're not following them, the state can actually go in and shut them down. And believe it or not, the state actually regulates that pretty heavily through the ABC.
And we are, and carrying the liability, right? So we're verifying that they have the adequate insurance to have those events. Okay. Is that part of the process and the permitting?
All right, so, we just let's get little parameters to work in. I think it'd be a great event.
And I just want to toss out, I want to clarify that I'm trying to, it's not for profit for pretty much the merchants. I was hoping, we could get drinks donated and we would just make a little bit of fundraising money off of beverage sales, but this is just to bring connecting Old Town and the Depot together, because I've had complaints from the different Depot businesses about trying to connect the two and making events for everyone. And that bringing in vendors from within the city outside of the Old Town area would be trying to cover different fees, like to pay for the band and pay for the rental, because otherwise we're just making money off of beverages, because I don't want to charge the Old Town merchants to come out, because that's what I want to support.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ron, you have a comment? All right, thank you. All right, any more, Mr. Mayor?
No.
So are we tabling that till next week, or what do we?
No, it's done. Josh is gonna pay for it.
Well, he's paying for the first
3 months.
3
I'll
months.
split it with you, Josh.
So I think,
Then we'll figure out
before we
what to do.
clarify that, I mean, are we gonna allow food trucks in? Because
Well,
the
I think
permit says food.
I think that's the sort of guidelines I was asking administration to maybe, and I don't, what is the right answer there?
Like I said, I don't wanna get into a position where they're competing against
So,
the depot people.
if we do not allow food, it won't be allowed at any event there, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
No one's allowed to sell food there. Yeah,
Right,
Can't do it.
yeah.
That's the case.
can't do it.
You say you can't do it?
Not if they can't sell food.
You're right.
No, so say you're getting way.
So just
No,
think
you
about
do.
what you're saying
Right. It's
before
balance on it.
we jump on something, just think about it. We might as well just,
If anything, do a lottery system, give all the local businesses first opportunity before they go outside the depot or to the merchants, they all get the first shots and
but again,
make it.
that works on some things, we try to stress that when people's coming in, especially in arts, the blues in the bay and things like that, we try to give them the offers to the businesses back there, or, some that might wanna come from downtown. But St. Rose is strictly there for their fair, one thing, selling food. They're not gonna invite people from across the street to come over and
Right.
sell their food and keep the money. OLG's no different, I mean, it's on their property, but OLG,
Their
Crab Fest is no different, St. Clair's is no different. They're selling food every Friday right now in Lent, someone's selling food,
On their property,
yeah.
which you
Yeah.
can do legally. It's not a city property.
So, I
You
mean,
can do it legally.
if you saying that,
Yeah, well, that's what-
outsider can't sell food there,
Right.
what do we have this for? I mean, we want businesses to succeed back there and want to bring people back.
Well, I'm not disagreeing you. I just brought it up as a question.
Right.
Because you have sales tax issues, and,
That's correct.
so.
But I'm not saying no one's not paying them sales tax, because I don't know that. Hopefully they are. And if you think someone's not for any event, then we need to find a way to turn them in and bring it to light of the state. But again, just think about it before we jump off the cliff.
Yeah, we
and
can't throw
implement
everything out,
something that-
the baby out in the water, but we gotta understand what we're trying to do is like, Coleman Avenues has food truck Fridays. Well, they ain't a nobody down there, right? So it's great for them to have people. We don't wanna have food truck Wednesdays in Bay St. Louis and have all our merchants like, hey, you know, I can buy a $5 po' boy right here and it's $10 in your shop. How do you manage that? It's why we have no food truck vendor thing, right? I know special exception, you can have them, but how do we manage that? We have a smart enough group up here to figure out how to manage that, right? So that's collectively, we need to figure out how to manage it. But again, we don't wanna destroy our brick and mortars as well. And that's the balance, right? Can we work together collectively to figure out what that balance is? Cause like I said, it needs to be addressed, you know.
Well, I think, like Josh said, let's invite the ones outside their buildings, I mean, the ones that's already there, invite them to set up something first, give them first shot at it. And, you know, go from there.
Yeah, I just don't, you know, I just wanted to bring that up, but I don't think it's gonna necessarily put anyone out of business if they have some food sales out there. As long as the people that already have place can set up on the sidewalk or whatever, or be a part of the same thing.
You know, we often shut those down, we often do what we need to do to include them in on events. But if it's a private event,
right,
you know, they can still set up in front of their shop and all out in the street and all.
Well, you do every time there is something out there that's big.
Correct.
Especially cruising the coast.
I'm a landlord, so I get paid either way. But I think that you ought to talk to the merchants and probably your members and see how they feel about it.
Well, my question is that Mackenzie has said that the depot merchants and the Old Town merchants want this to connect Old Town and Depot and to bring Old Town people into the depot area to grow that area and understand what's there and develop those businesses that are your tenants. But then what you came up and said, and I'm not saying that you're right or wrong, as you said, you're a landlord, you get paid rent, doesn't matter, you're not running those businesses. Do they want that or not? I don't think anybody wants, you know, each Wednesdays to turn into 50 food trucks out there selling, competing against all the restaurants in town. But I don't think that's the intent of what we're looking to do. But that's a totally different event, Jim. I mean, that's a completely different thing.
Mike, you're gonna have to talk into it.
Somebody comes and has the Mopar event, or somebody has a festival, or somebody has the band out there or whatever. What they were saying is, hey, we made this big investment here, and they're not asking us to provide food. Although I heard Uncle Joe went out there and provided food and sold some stuff, but there are people coming, and they could bring people from outside.
Right.
In their neighborhood. I mean, that'd be like somebody coming down North Beach or.
No, right,
Bronx.
yeah, I understand.
That's
But I
all.
think this is more of people from, if North Beach wants to put up a booth and sell food, they can. If Uncle Joe's wants to set up a booth, or TBT Butcher Shop wants to set up a booth and sell food, you know, they can. And it's gonna be a conglomerate of all the Old Town and Depot businesses getting together out on the festival grounds and having a band and people.
Yeah.
But I think she has talked. I think she has talked to them. That's the read I'm getting is this has all been discussed.
Yes.
With
And for a
them
few
and with the
months.
membership, and everybody wants it.
Yes, and
That's
just
what
to clear this up and make it easy as possible, as far as food and drink beverage vendors, we can just make it strictly Old Town and Depot District merchants, and I'm totally fine with that. The only reason on suggesting bringing in someone outside of that area was to get a little revenue if we're paying for renting.
Yeah, we just gotta see how it goes. I just, again, it's a balance.
Yeah,
Right,
but I'm
thanks.
totally fine just
Balance.
sticking with Old Town. We have plenty of great food vendors. I know Miss Mary's wants to come out there and do some stuff. For Uncle Joe's and TBT, if they want to set up a booth, a table. If no food vendors want to come out for that event, they can go across the street.
Right.
I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for doing it. I mean, I think it's a wonderful idea. We had great discussions.
Right,
Again,
so-
right, we all have different opinions, but we're all working to a
So
common
we don't
goal
have to approve the
move forward.
special events permits, that's y'all.
No, the city does that.
We're not making a motion on waiving the rental grounds because so far Josh and the mayor are chipping in to supply the first.
They have to make a donation, because council has to accept it.
And is it
Well, no,
two,
we'd have to make a donation to the Old Town merchants, or they would, and then the Old Town merchant would just pay the $200 fee.
That's fine. Whatever way you
so
want.
it's $200,
I'll
every day?
cover $200 for 1 month. As part of that job.
For every day?
No, for every month, one per
No,
month,
no,
so you got
no.
6 events.
No, what I'm saying is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
our
yeah.
fee schedule is $200 a
per
day
day,
to rent
Yes.
the depot grounds.
Yep.
Okay. That's weekends also.
For non,
For nonprofit.
not
Okay,
for profit.
nonprofits, okay.
I think regular is
400.
I think
Yes.
it is, I don't have
Yep.
it on top of my head.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Cool, great discussions. All right, where we at? Any more, project,
Project list,
Yeah,
you know,
project list.
discussions.
So obviously over the last, since I got here, whatever, there's a lot of projects that are out there. They're all very good projects overall. So I've tried to basically make a list and to be able to make basically a concise area to look at. What is that job title? What project is it? What stage in the process are we? Are we under construction? Are we ready to award? Are we advertising for bids currently? Are we in design phase? Are we ready to award? That kind of thing. And obviously the last one, number 29, you see is the harbor settlements. That's the one we just talked about and had engineer recommendation. Then I put an anticipated construction timeline and talking to our engineers and projects of where we are. So it says either under construction currently, or we think it's going to go, like the pickleballs could start in the next weeks, okay? So we're looking at March to June, basically, and kind of coming through, so you can kind of see is when are those projects gone, and we're anticipating to be under construction. Well, that means we got to start writing checks. And then I put a column of what's that anticipated or estimated project cost, how much is the grant if there's something tied to it, what's the local match that's affiliated with it, what's the grant name, and then just put out there, again, this is Mike Riso, just saying possible source of cash flow. So what checkbook can we possibly fund that project through? So if it's a sidewalk project, can we use road and bridge type of thing? Obviously, our ARPA money, we're using the ARPA grant to cash flow that. So as we spend money, we submit receipts, then get reimbursed. Right now, we're doing the gas smart point meters. That's coming out of the utility capital fund. Okay, that's what y'all assign that to. And so just kind of looking, trying to figure, all right, what checkbook will we be pulling cash to make that payment? Okay. The big ones, and there's a lot of money in here, obviously. I mean, right now we got $33 million in projects tied to grants, of which 5.8 is local match. Okay. So some of that, the big ones, is A, that 2.1 we just talked about at the harbor. B is going to be your two FEMA projects, basically 3.5, 3.6 million. Okay, and they're pushing us, trying to, get us to move. At the same time, we're saying, hey, this bid amount came in about like this much compared to the project worksheet. Give us some guarantees that y'all gonna bring this back up. And they keep telling me, well, we'll adjust that at closeout.
Yeah.
And then you
So,
said
but verify.
FEMA money
Yeah,
is, when exactly is that reimbursement coming? Okay?
Yeah.
So a lot of it is what's that cash flow coming back? So Gomesa, Tidelands, Gulf Coast Restoration Fund, as we submit receipts, I mean, the cash flow is kind of rolling. Within 60 days, I mean, it should be rolling. Something like a FEMA, it took us probably 2 years to get the debris cleanup money, so I don't know when that's coming, okay? So want to look at a couple of things of and again, the source of cash is just saying, and kind of in our budget, we kind of put some of these, the sidewalks under road and bridge, so when you saw those monies. So we can pretty much cash flow, I'm going to call them little projects, through that. We get into those FEMA projects, or even the Sunset Sewer is $1 million Go Mesa. And there's no local match on that, but we got to cash flow it. So we got to front the money and get it reimbursed, okay? Meanwhile, there's a bunch of other ones. The two FEMAs and the Sunset kind of bring me to kind of pause that we kind of talked a little bit about last week briefly. Was just looking at the idea of possibly a grant anticipation loan. That basically says you go get a line of credit for $3.5 million that's tied to the grant. Doesn't impact your borrowing capacity. It's not like a GO bond or anything like that. Functions as a line of credit. You draw on it. As you get reimbursed, you pay it down. It disappears. You're done when it's reimbursed. The FEMA one in particular is we don't know when we're getting that money back. 3.5 and 3.6. So that, trying to use our local cash to do it, and we're limited on that because there's just so many, okay? So part of that is, all right, y'all might look at this list and say, we don't want to do that sidewalk project. or we wanna push it further out. So those are just, I think, conversations the council's gonna have to give administration some, you know, we've kind of been pushing it, trying to move it, we're here. Now that we're in a position to actually execute, we gotta think about cash flow.
Okay, so we just got $2 million back,
Just kind of bring
correct?
it for discussion.
So we just got $2 million back on the PD reimbursement.
You got 1 million last fall or so on the first Gulf Coast Restoration Fund from, was that '01? What year was that one? And then we received a 2022 and a 2023 grant. We received last month 1 million from the 2022 Gulf Coast Restoration Fund. We're still waiting to get the 2023 reimbursement,
For how much?
1 million. And that, again, going back to what Gary said earlier, and which I kind of communicated in my email to y'all, is whatever funds are left over, and that is up to y'all to say where y'all want to put that remaining balance.
Right. So
Whatever's left, y'all gonna
you got
dedicate
$1
that and
million
push that
back.
somewhere.
You got $1 million back.
We got $2 million back total, but last, what, the 14th or 15th
So
of
the
last month?
first $1 million, where did it go back to?
It went back into to pay that building.
Okay. And so the $1 million you got back is unallocated.
The million we got back went back to pay loans between funds, which I
Okay,
had
now,
detailed.
I got it.
Okay.
Those funds are now got unallocated funds in them. So we need to strip that $1 million out and put it into a reserve account.
We have over $2 million of our money in this building.
It's still unallocated funds. I don't see how you saying that when these
We
funds
had
get,
2.5
we took 1 point,
We had $2.4 something million allocated to the police department.
wait. We got a reimbursement on a Zeta cleanup thing of $1.8 million. And we took that and
Fully
reallocated it to the police department.
That's correct. That's part of that
So now we got part of that back. So that's unallocated funds that can be taken out, stripped out. What I'm saying, council, we gotta take that $1 million out because they're gonna spend it and we're not gonna.
That's not true, and that's a lie, matter of fact.
No, you're a liar.
No, Gary, when have we ever spent this money?
It's gotta be.
When have we ever spent?
So
It's gotta be approved by
gotta
you
be
to spend
docketed.
it.
That's right.
Not me.
Gotta be
So don't come here with your BS telling me we've misspent something.
You're so full.
Show me where we misspent it.
I'm
Show
just
me.
saying, in order to
Show
make-
me where we misspent this money.
Hey,
Cause you just flat out lied saying
I
we
didn't lie to
misspent it.
you.
so we
No,
got,
you
just
lied to
saying,
everybody in here
This
listening.
money is unallocated, needs to be pulled out and used for a later date. It's up to y'all.
And you're right on that.
I'll make a motion that we take the $1 million and put it in the municipal reserve account until further allocation.
where's
There's
it
my
at
motion.
today?
It's in the,
Spend-
it's in the
spend.
general fund now.
So we just had a 1.1,
Didn't we just move?
$1.8 million docket and $1.1 million docket, and we only had 3.4 in the general fund?
You have $1.8 million docket.
Yeah, and we had 3.3 million,
So-
400 in them.
Again, going back, and I asked, put it to where we can spread this summary report of interfund loans on this thing, and we sent that out to
Right.
y'all after our last meeting. 7A is a summary of all the interfund loans that details how we had to repay interfund when we're borrowing from this fund to that fund as the grant monies come back. And it said we still owe $355,000 to the general fund, and we still owe $333,000 to the municipal reserve. So when that $1 million comes back, we gotta pay those two loans back, which means putting that money back in those two funds.
Now, are
Then
those
whatever's
monies,
left,
are those monies in the
whatever's
budget?
left, well, then y'all tell us, go put it in
That's
the general
exactly
fund,
what
go
I'm
put it
saying.
in
But
municipal
Mike,
reserve,
But
put it in
it's not
emergency
$1 million
fund.
Mike,
right
It's
now.
gonna be about 300 grand or less.
You got $1 million back, didn't you? A check?
hold on one second, Gary. Let me see if I can. So I think where Gary's coming from, in my understanding of it, is that that money that was loaned out, that was allocated in that year's budget. Say that was 2023's budget, correct? Now we're in 2024's budget. So
And
those
part of it
monies are
came in
being
from
paid
22.
back, those monies are being paid back, but in 2024's budget, we don't have those funds allocated to be spent on anything.
If it's loans from these
So it's
accounts,
just
they
cash.
may be.
Well, it may be, but that's his question, is what is
The
it,
question, that's not,
what is it
true.
budgeted, allocated to be spent on from that fund that is being reimbursed to?
So, when we borrow money from the general fund.
I know how,
to move-
I understand
okay,
how it works. I
and then we
understand
gotta
what
put
you're
it back.
saying, And I saw the email, and I understand the email, but I do now understand what Gary's getting at, is that that's money that was allocated and spent under last year's budget or the prior year's budget. Under this current budget,
Your loans,
it's a
your
loan
loan,
being,
interfund loans
the
are not
money's
budgeted.
being reimbursed, but those funds, once they're paid back, what happens to that? If we owe $350 to general fund, $350 municipal reserve, obviously municipal reserve, it sits there because that's what municipal reserve does. General fund, what is that $350 that's now on our cash balances under our current budget? What is it budgeted to cover? What is it going towards? Or is it a surplus? Because it seems like if it was spent in prior years, coming back in now, it would be a surplus. I think that's.
It's a reimbursement, and you
Right.
can't use it to figure your next budget.
Were these-
Because you
were these
start off with a zero
refunds
balance.
budgeted? I mean, are these transfers in
So
our
when you
budget?
talk about transferring money between funds, that's not budgeted transaction. It's not money that we're buying, going to spend.
No, right. I'm not saying that it is or it isn't. All I'm asking.
Your budget's
All I'm
fixed.
saying is the budget's
So
fixed.
that's all we can spend is what y'all budgeted.
But is that loan factored into the revenue for 2024's
No, it's
budget?
No,
It's putting
it's
just
not.
cash back. It's not, Gary's right on that. It's not
So we're not
considered
showing that.
revenue, it's not considered
When we're
expense.
showing our balanced budget at the beginning of the year, we have a loan that's out for $350,000 from general funds. Are we showing that as revenue coming into
No,
2024?
It's not part of revenue.
So it's just
It's kind of a balance sheet
cash
transaction.
money that's coming in, that's just going on in cash balances as
It's on your,
surplus.
it's dealing with balance sheet stuff, not your income statement.
Right.
So, again, once that million comes in, the first 355 have to go back into the general fund to be paid off, to pay off that loan. The other 333 goes
What
into
happens to
municipal
that
reserve.
money that's there? I mean, I understand it's paying off that loan, but it's paying off that loan from that fund. So in that fund, when it's sitting there, what do we do with it?
So,
That's what he's saying. We have to tell them what to do with it.
Right. But
What-
do we?
but there
do
should
we-
be,
is that-
again, somewhere in my email to y'all, it said we had like 300-something thousand. You still had to pay for the security camera stuff that had to go in, estimate 60 to 80,000.
Right, but that's budgeted in
Then
this
that
year's
should be
budget.
basically whatever the balance of that is. At that point, you're gonna tell us, hey, transfer that to the municipal reserve and fund the other projects.
If
'cause
you look at the
obviously we have a
general
lot of
fund,
them.
we started
But that's
in our
the extra
budget.
350 you're
We
talking
have a beginning balance in our budget of 218,000 into our beginning balance budget going into this. We carried $218,000 over.
Mhm.
So that was a surplus in our budget last year that we never allocated or reallocated.
And it's being carried over for the expenses of this year, for whatever it is.
But we never allocated what expenses we're gonna pay for.
In
In
this
addition-
budget, it's
Where's it budgeted to? You see,
budgeted right
that
here.
was something that was never told us.
It's in the budget you approved, line item.
Yeah, but I asked what the carryover was. You didn't give me an answer, and you didn't give me an answer what the
This isn't
carryover was from the previous.
This is carryover we included in this year's budget for different projects. You know,
Okay, well, this $1 million is not in that equation.
again, so my thing is, let's get the money, see where it ends up, and see what's out there. Make sure everything is paid back, because again, we
All
can't
those
spend
loans,
it.
that's just paper trick. That's just a paper thing. We take it, spread it over the minute, the money sits in the, listen, Gene, this is just we just need to take the money and put it in a reserve account for later allocation. If they want to put it to something, they can ask us. If we
Gotta
don't
do
take
that
it
no
out of
matter
general
where it's
fund,
located, Gary.
then it'll just be spent on
No
this.
matter
or that.
where this money is, it cannot be spent without your approval.
The first thing is,
None of it.
The only way we can do that is to take it out and reallocate.
Oh,
it.
it
So
can be
like I
spent.
made a
If it
motion.
stays in the general fund as cash flow, it still cannot be spent unless you approve it.
That's right. Well, I want to put it in a restricted account so we can say when we're going to
And
spend it.
just for
You
the
say-
record.
You have that say anyway.
What's that?
You have that say anyway.
Well, I'm gonna do it a different way.
So-
So I wanna make a motion that $1 million reimbursement be put into the reserve account, municipal emergency reserve account till further notice.
So if it's owed somewhere else, that doesn't get.
No, we'll pay that. That'll pay that. All it is just a transfer on the paper.
So why don't we transfer it on the paper the way it needs to go,
Okay,
And
then
then
it's gonna
what's
go
left-
into the general fund.
Put in there.
It's gonna go into the general fund. Now we're gonna take it out because it's not part of this year's budget. Those are unbudgeted funds. I just don't understand what you don't understand about that.
I just don't understand why you keep beating this one thing. Yes, it's gotta be repaid. If you remember in the audit last year, went from repaying from here to here and back to here to here to here to here to here to repay it.
That's right, and that leaves the
And
paper
so
trail.
So that's right. So let us take care of that, and then wherever the funds are at,
Well, we're fixing to do that in the consent agenda. And then we can just go ahead and make a motion and take that money right
you know,
out.
take
for-
it and
for
move
later.
it over there before you pay back what's the inner loans. I don't think you can.
Guys, listen, all this is semantics. It's just word games. I'm telling you, those are unallocated
This ain't a
funds.
game.
It's a game. Those are
It
unallocated.
might be, you might think
So-
it's a game, but I don't think anybody in administration or anywhere else on that council other than you believe that this is a game. This is real money. It's something that
Then
needs
why
to
do
be
you
done.
have such an aversion
I
to put the
don't.
money in the reserve account?
Because right now, we need to pay back where this money come from.
Well,
That's law. That is law.
Oh, I get that.
Okay, let's
Well, let's
do
make
that.
the motion. We pay it back, and then we're gonna take it right out of the reserve account because it's unbudgeted. I mean, right out of the general
So
fund.
you're
It's
gonna move it
unbudgeted.
to an account and then take it out of that account and put it back into the general fund and take it from the general fund and pay your loans off,
What loans you talking about?
whatever this money is owed to.
They don't go into there because they're unbudgeted. There's an unbudgeted fund.
It don't matter, it still goes back to where it comes from. It's an inner loan. It has to be repaid. Then once we repay it, you can take and put it in the reserve. Take it out of that account and put it in the
So
reserve.
you're saying put it in account, say 13, and then take
If
it
we
right
owe
out of
them,
13.
if we owe $300,000, yes, we need to write them a check for $300,000 and put in account 13.
And then we can take
And then
that money.
our loan obligation is done.
I'm not
then-
saying not do that.
But you wanna move it before we even do this.
No.
And then you
gotta-
take it out of
you gotta
13 and say,
satisfy.
then you take it out of 13 and say, I wanna put this in municipal
Well, I think
reserve.
we're saying the same thing. So that's where we're gonna end up tonight.
I think you want to restrict the funds before they even get the funds back to
Yeah.
repay it.
He's got the funds. It's
No,
sitting
we
in the
don't
general
have all
fund
Waiting
right
on the
now.
other
We
million
still
to
owe the
settle
$1
this
million.
up. We don't have the other million yet.
No,
still
we
owe
gotta,
it.
we gotta take this million out.
This fund is going back repaying loans, Gary.
Well, let's just go to the consent agenda. We'll go by each one, and we'll repay each loan, because I read it.
All right.
I would just like to remind the council, the administration cannot write a check over $10,000. Y'all have to approve that. Number one. Number two, we can't spend unbudgeted funds. So if there's a line item that has in the budget, then we can spend. We can't go over that money. So any, accusation that we can go and waste money or spend money on projects or spend anything that's not budgeted, whatever, is nonsense.
My calculation is we should have like 688 left when we're done, possibly, between the 355 we pay in reserve. I mean, general fund with, then the 333 you're expecting to have left, so at the end.
687.
When we receive the last $1 million, we have to write two checks, one for 355,
Yeah.
one for 333.
Right.
To
So that's
finish
six-
off those
680.
loans,
Yes.
to zero that out.
Three
Whatever's
something
left,
over.
y'all will tell us where to put those monies.
Right. Okay. All right, council business. Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, I just wanted to have a simple motion. I know we discussed last week on the Hancock County Chamber of Commerce to produce a monthly calendar, so I just wanted to have that in a formal motion so that we can get that.
Wasn't that in there? I know they
Well, I thought
agreed
No,
to
it
it.
wasn't-
No, I don't
no, it
think
was
we made
just-
a motion. They agreed to it. I don't think we made a motion.
Yeah, I just want to make
Okay.
sure that it's in a motion
Right.
form so we can
Yeah, we
point to
talked
that.
about it, and they agreed to it. We just didn't make a
Yeah,
motion.
so-
I thought it was in the motion to.
No, it wasn't.
Okay,
It was
gotcha.
just, it was verbally agreed upon, so I just want
Motion
to
by
make
Mr. Lewis to have Hancock County Chamber of Commerce produce a monthly calendar of all bookings pertaining to the old City Hall Resource Center to the council.
Second.
Second, motion by Mr. Lewis, second Mr. Hoffman. Any discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
All right, council business, Mr. Hoffman,
I don't have it. I don't have it.
Mr. Reed.
Are we gonna discuss these, the, depository?
Yeah, it's on down in the next,
Okay, well, I
Next.
don't have no with this.
okay. Salva? Lewis?
Yes, I don't want any specifics, but Heather, can we just talk about the process of a recent petition submitted to the Chancery Court? Again, I don't want to get specifics into it, but I am getting questions from a lot of the constituents on the timeline of it. So I just wanted to kind of see where to go. I know we haven't been served yet, and those individuals in defense have not been served yet, but what that time frame looks like, because I think you have a lot of individuals that have seen that they are defendants. Most of them never been served before, so there's a lot of questions, concerns. Do I need to get an attorney? So I just want to be able to adequately kind of explain what that timeline looks like and what that process looks like, not specific to, anything to this, just an overall process.
Short answer, no. Just because I saw this for the first time yesterday, I have not had time. Today was a full day of preparing for this agenda, so I'm not ready to stand up and give advice to the city or to our constituents over how to handle a lawsuit that I haven't adequately been able to process and to look at myself.
So we don't have, I know there's some information on there about 5 days of completion of publication, so there's nothing we can give the citizens or constituents to be familiar with on if they do want to object to this and what we can give them in terms of a time frame.
At this time, no. Like I told you, I haven't, and I don't know how it's reasonable to expect. I have not been served with this lawsuit. I went and pulled it yesterday, sent it to you guys, and I've been preparing all day for a council meeting. So again, I'm not giving legal advice to our citizens when I haven't had time to adequately prepare for that.
Is this something that we can get from the chancellor and what the comment, once they're served, is there a 30-day timeline for objections? And then, that's kind of what I'm looking for, is to be able to
Okay,
get back
do you want me to repeat myself again? I don't know how many other ways that I can say that, Kyle, and I'm not gonna sit here and give
I'm just asking
advice.
for generalities. This isn't the first time that this has occurred, so I'm looking at general rule of thumb of what that time frame looks like, or when somebody's served, what the timeline is to get an objection in. Because it looks like a lot of people are saying you have 5 days, because that's what's on the petition. Again, it's
Okay, that's what's on the petition.
so it's 5 days, so once somebody's
Okay,
served.
Kyle, how many times do I have to tell you and not just be point blank rude?
Well, why don't we have this information? We know that this was.
Because I received the lawsuit yesterday.
It was
We
certainly
have
well
not been, we have not
And
received.
I preface that we have not. We've been named. There's been defendants, but it has not been yet served. I'm asking for generalities on just a legal general rule of thumb, because there's a lot of questions out
This
there.
is not a general rule of thumb. This is not a general lawsuit that's filed where you have 30 days. You're well aware of that. And I'm sitting here telling you I'm not giving public advice to something that I'm not ready to get.
Well, that's a shame.
So I'm not,
I guess all of those defendants are just gonna have to get legal and get an attorney and get an opinion on it, because we
that is not what I said at all. And actually, no, to answer your question and your little smirk, yes, they are. I cannot represent our constituents that are named in that. I represent the city.
Right.
I do not represent those individual owners. And I'm
Right.
sitting here
But
telling you
I have to-
today
but
that
I
I
have-
don't have an answer, and you're asking to back me into a corner and put me in a position
I
that
asked
is
for
completely uncalled for.
I asked for generalities, and I represent the constituents, so they deserve an answer from me on what I can give them.
Okay.
You're not
Go read
elected
the-
official, but
go
yes,
read the
I do
law,
answer
Kyle.
them.
All right.
Then you
Well,
can
that's why we've got you. That's why I have you. You have to come and
All right.
explain to us the law.
All right. Anything else? Mr. Zimmerman? Mr. Gary?
I'm good.
I ain't got anything else either. Public forum, Mr. Cliff.
I'll look at Brad, 'cause I can't even bring y'all to 'em. Kyle, thank you for bringing that up. Because I have been to the Chancery Clerk. I have, even though I haven't been served, I know the case number. So, I'm a defendant in not a lawsuit, according to the other side, not the defendant, but the people who filed it. It's a petition to alter a plat. And it was filed against me, the city of Bay St. Louis, and 38 other residents. So, Heather, I appreciate you haven't had a chance to look at it. And I don't know a lot of things, but I do read legal documents pretty regularly. Anyway, the city of Bay St. Louis is a named defendant in a petition to alter a plat for the subdivision that they want to put in over between 3rd Street and Beach. That's the specifics I'm gonna give you because that's all I know. Since I have been named a defendant, I am writing an objection. And Heather, I'm not even gonna ask you to look at how I wrote it, see if it's correct. I'll take care of that personally. But I have had some of my neighbors who are not necessarily named as defendants, but are residents of Bay St. Louis who are part of the city of Bay St. Louis, and they have asked me. They have a lot of interest, and they're equally opposed to this proposed subdivision, and they say, can they, as a citizen of the city of Bay St. Louis, who is a named defendant, can they file an objection? So when, Ms. Heather, when you get to it, just let us know if that can be done. Otherwise, I'm gonna call the county attorney and some other stuff. But anyway, I do have some of my neighbors who are interested in filing an objection, even though they're not specifically named as a defendant, they are citizens, and the city is named as a defendant. Yeah, I'm going over my notes here. Question I have received, I have contacted the Chancery Court because I was gonna ask, because I file documents to Chancery Clerk regularly. I said, well, what's the filing fee? And I can tell my neighbors this, you can file that objection with no fee, according to the Chancery Court. So, just Mayor and Councilman Jason, I really was hoping Jason Kenichi would be here tonight, but I'll be asking him and some folks in the building department of some of the specifics, what are our requirements for right-of-way, for paved, width of paved stuff, and anything else, so that when I respond, when I write mine, I can at least have reasonably good information. And like I said, I will be sharing what I write with my neighbors, who I suspect it'll get spread out, but that's okay. I do have one additional question, though. In writing this up, which I could show you what I've written, but I'm not gonna do that. I did notice there's a guy named Mike Thompson that was the attorney for this outfit, and I'm thinking, isn't he the guy who just recently, because of a redistribution, isn't he the state representative for those of us who live over there? Kyle, maybe you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's, Mike Thompson is the state senator for District 48, I believe.
So he is the state senator for those of us who are gonna be affected by this. He's the attorney representing people that are filing a petition. Okay, I just wanted to confirm that. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clun.
Mr. Black.
Tad Black, 211 7th Street, Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. First, I'd like to thank the mayor and his administration for getting down the 8-foot fence, the illegal 8-foot fence in a residential neighborhood. It finally happened. I also would like to thank the mayor and his administration for getting the bad hole on Demontlison Street with some better rocks in it, and then the limestone's not flying all over the place in 15 neighbors' yards. I actually got out there and raked them up and tried to put them back in the hole because they left a few. Your workers left a few limestone rocks laying around. But with this lawsuit and all that, I'm a member of the Destiny for Dollars is wrong. Got an email, saw it on Facebook about these people, flipping them, being a defendant in this lawsuit, City of Bay St. Louis. Back on May 2nd of 2023, this council changed the subdivision ordinance. Did y'all not?
Updated it.
You updated it? Why did y'all do that?
Cause it was like 40 years old, I think, from 1969
There
or
was
something.
some discrepancies, interpretation, I think, is one of the reasons was.
I haven't read and looked at what the differences are, but I'm going to. And from what I've seen, you pretty much gave an open highway for this high-density subdivision to come into our town. Do y'all realize that? Do y'all realize that y'all voted that way? A 5-0 vote according to the minute?
according to, how is that?
I'm just saying.
I mean, how is it open?
It opens it up a little bit more for them to come in the
what?
door. I don't understand why they're suing anybody.
Specifically, how is it changed?
I'm just saying, you need to
No,
read, you need to
specifically.
take
I
the
did
old
read it.
one,
I did read
take
it.
the new
did.
one.
I did.
I
Tell
haven't
me-
done the new one
well,
yet.
Tell me specifically how we
I'm
changed
just
it.
saying, did y'all make
Tell me.
changes? And you said,
Yes.
yes, you did.
I
And I
have-
said, do you realize
I have
you
a-
may have
No, you said we did have.
opened the door
You did it. You
for
said we
this
did have.
allowed to come in?
No, this is a subdivision issue.
Okay, it's a
This-
sub,
this
is
a
this not a
state- this is
subdivision
state
coming into
law
our town
subdivision.
that's high
No,
density?
This is a state law subdivision. This has already been subdivided into 4 lots.
Right, and
They're
it can't be subdivided at least by the Chancery Clerk's office, correct?
That's
Same
what we
thing
in
as
court.
Valentine Street.
That's
Can I
what
say
we in
something
court.
about the
That's not,
ordinance
it's not, this,
changes?
the court, the subdivision, our regulation is not this court's order. The court, they're suing us, they're not suing us, they're trying to get the court to let them re-subdivide it.
Right.
It's not our subdivision
Well,
regulations.
this is gonna happen with the
They're trying-
Valentine Street too.
They're trying to re-subdivide
Right.
it, but
Same scenario, right, with the Valentine Street?
we don't even know what's going on right there.
I mean, that's the same thing. They have to, because it's already subdivision, they have to go to the Chancery Clerk's office and get another subdivision to overlay that, correct?
Yeah, so
I'm
it's
just
not
letting you know.
a subdivision regulation issue. It's a Chancery Court.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing to do with the provisions of the law that petition alter the plat.
Right.
Those two have absolutely
Right.
nothing to do with one another.
We didn't change ordinances or anything. Only thing was changed is how you go about getting it. You know, we didn't change any ordinances to, zoning or anything in that new ordinance. We just updated and how you go about getting it.
Okay. I was just curious about it.
And I will speak to that. You changed your subdivision ordinance, Mayor, and the reason that you changed it is because it was very much proven that the old one was so outdated that you could not defend yourself in a legal lawsuit because it contradicted itself. It was not up to any current regulations. It had terms that did not even apply to today. So when we're sitting here trying to bake a subdivision or create a subdivision off of a document that was from 1960 something, I can't remember the exact date. I mean, it was completely outdated.
76.
Was it 76?
That's what
And
we
so
came
that's
up-
why the decision was
American
made.
Council of Form of Government.
Yep, zoning was adopted then, original.
Well, I was just curious because I did see that and I've never heard of that ever happening.
If you listen to the right people, they'll tell you that story though.
Yeah, well, I'm not
Let's just say it.
But I was just curious about it because I've never seen anything like this ever in the city of Bay St. Louis, ever. And I've been following politics for about 45 years at Bay St. Louis.
Might not have been doing it right for, I
Well-
mean, honestly, I didn't know.
So we're saying now that the new changes in the subdivision is gonna help us fight this lawsuit?
We don't have, no, our subdivision ordinance had nothing to do with this lawsuit, zero.
But isn't there some floodplains and all this involved? Is all this gonna be taken into consideration?
Yeah, if they get it approved, then they have to follow our subdivision ordinance.
Had
If-
there's
if they
million
get it approved.
conspiracy theories out here that it was specifically for this development and this and that, and that's, again, conspiracy theory 101.
But no, still gotta follow
If anything,
regulations.
it makes it harder to get the
All right,
subdivision.
so this
because
new,
more
this
to
new
look at.
subdivision that that y'all adopted for the city back in 23, if y'all deny that development from coming in, even after they get a new subdivision from the Chancery Clerk's office, is this new subdivision ordinance is gonna help us keep them out?
It is better than.
Because
the
you know
old
it's not wanted.
Oh, yeah.
It's not wanted. I don't think it's needed.
I don't
I'm
think-
not affected by it, but
Right.
I used to represent those people, and some of those people in that lawsuit are still living and was
Oh, yeah.
there when I represented them several years ago.
Yeah.
I think we're in a bad situation, Mr. Black, because if we deny it, the landowners are gonna sue us. We approve it,
Get in line.
adjoining landowners are gonna sue us.
Well,
So-
get in line. I think you'd be better off supporting the residents of Bay St. Louis, not the people that come here to make money.
I understand that, but it's also about what can you defend in court at some point, you know? I mean, do you have a case that you can win, you get a case you know you're gonna lose?
Well, I'm just saying, did y'all upgrade the subdivision ordinance because of that reason?
I think we updated it, to be quite honest, because we was lawsuit 3 years ago on the same property, and we went to court, we found there was a lot of discrepancies in the ordinance at that time when we had to read through everything.
So
for
it
a
should help
lawsuit.
us, correct?
There's a lot of
It
contradictions.
should be
in
more
all of it.
solid.
So we got
and
the
ironclad.
loopholes out of it, we got the the language that may be misconstrued or written in a way that only certain people could understand it, the people that actually wrote it. So all this is now up to date with the rest of the things that are going on in our country.
And not contradicting itself.
And not contradicting
It's
itself.
much
Like
better
some
than
of
what
our
it
ordinances
was.
do have
Yeah,
done that.
Yes.
Yes.
I was just curious about it, and like I said, I did
Add
want to
one
thank
thing.
the mayor and his
The
administration.
criteria of this ordinance has not changed for the benefit of this subdivision or any subdivision coming in.
Well, like I said, I haven't found it.
You know,
to do that. I was just saying, because it's hard to look at the new ordinance on your smartphone.
Yeah,
But when you
believe me,
have to zoom over, you
know
gotta
that.
roll over this way.
Yeah, you
to
can't
the
get
end of
but-
the
I get
sentence.
about
You can't get but
3 words
one
the
word
Then
on
all
your
of a
phone.
sudden, you done took the whole thing off your screen and you gotta start all over.
I know how you feel.
All right.
last.
But anyway, I do thank mayor and administration for getting an 8-foot fence back down to the 6. And I haven't had any problems with people throwing eggs and lemons at my house and butter and carrots.
Maybe they're just trying to throw it over the big fence.
No, they were standing on their porch doing it. I saw them one time, but I couldn't prove it. And so I asked the police officer, I said, if I get cameras, will that work? And they said, yeah, that'll work. I said, okay. So
Right.
that's what I did. And then
Yeah.
they put the 8-foot fence up to stop me from looking. I don't look at them for that
No,
reason.
Yeah, no, right.
But fortunately, I haven't had anything thrown in my backyard or
Watch your TV.
in the, in a while. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
every day for about 3 months, it was like that.
yeah,
And I was tired of pressure washing eggs and
yeah.
sticks
crazy.
of butter off my roof and things like that. But thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, that's all public forum. City clerk's report. Moving right along.
Basically, we advertised for banking services. There's a motion to approve the resolution by the Bay St. Louis City Council approving the award to the First Bank for municipal depository banking services and related purposes. And there's a summary, basically.
Yep.
3 banks submitted. The First Bank, which is our current bank, is providing a 4% fixed rate on our deposits for the first year and 3.5% for the second year, giving an average of about 3.75. Hancock came in with a variable rate, which would be significantly lower, but it would adjust every basically 28 days or so. Community Bank came in at 2.75 fixed for 2 years. And also the fees that we would be charged, the first is waiving them like they are today, as well as Community decided to waive them. Hancock did not. So our recommendation is to go with the highest interest rate with no fees and to remain with the first.
All right, need a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Salvo,
Second.
second Mr. Hoffman. Any discussion?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to, the reason we went with the first is because just what you just said.
Yeah, it's
They
on our,
got the-
we got a
So,
spreadsheet.
so is that on all our accounts? They're gonna give us 4%?
Correct.
Okay,
And no fee.
so,
And no fees.
and no fees. So were we getting anything from them prior?
Minimal the last 2 years. It's
Minimal?
based on interest
What-
rates, the way
what
they
was
were.
Oh,
The
yeah.
variable?
No, it was fixed, but I
It's
just don't
fixed,
remember,
but
but it's very tiny, tiny, tiny.
Okay,
Yeah, rates were
so they
down.
raised it.
4% is a nice,
It's
a
gonna
nice
be
fixed rate.
Yeah.
I mean,
Interest rates are so high, everything's higher. You gotta
Okay.
be competitive. All right, any more discussion? All right, motion by Mr. Salvo, second by Mr. Hoffman. Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye, motion passes 7-0.
Next one is just approval of the docket of claims, number 24-014 dated May 5th, 2024, in the amount of $1,865,803.
Discussion on that.
Discussion.
All right, let's go to the Bay St. Louis side. Explain these transactions and what they're doing.
What are we going?
Page 4. Gary, you talking about what's on page 4 of the
Oh,
City of Bay St. Louis?
excuse me, I'm
Page
sorry.
4,
Page
City
4,
of Bay
yes.
St. Louis.
And TR.
You understand the last two?
What's that?
You understand the last two, so we can get them off, or you want them off?
No, I want to talk about them, explain them.
All right,
Several of these are, that we've received tax funds, so now we're putting them back to where they need to go, Road and Bridge and others. The details are
So this
again,
is what the county sent you?
yeah. So if
Off
you
our
look,
taxes.
I'm trying to, I think it's motion B, interfund transfer between funds.
I'm on a
consent
docket.
agenda. I'm sorry?
I'm on a docket.
Oh, I know, but the explanation of that docket, the forms that I've asked, our comptroller to put, anytime we're doing transfers, kind of detail those. So if you go under consent agenda, B, says motion to approve interfund transfer between funds.
So is this just a waste?
What's that? Yeah, so just, this is something we've created about 6 or so months ago. So anytime we're moving money between funds, to have our comptroller explain what date is it, how much is it, what fund is it going to, what fund is it coming from? Is it a repayment of loans? So the first one you see says repayment of loan between funds. To reimburse general fund for payroll and other expenses as well as indirect fees charged. $39,539.
And which one?
And then
You
she's
on?
got
You're on,
I'm on B, under consent agenda.
B on consent agendas are minutes.
No, B is motion to
Consent
approve
agenda 7,
fund transfer
and go to
between
7B. It's motion to approve interfund transfer of loans between funds.
And under B is A, utility operator, general operator, payroll expenses and fees. Click on that, it brings you to.
Oh,
what
all I
he's-
see is
what
the
he's
minutes.
discussing.
all I got's minutes.
On 7.
7B.
7B.
I got minutes. January 2nd, 2024 minutes.
Motion to approve interfund transfer between funds.
what I
8
got.
is minutes.
B. Oh, the big, okay, the big B.
Not-
I stopped
not
at the
the
first
AB.
B. Yeah,
Stopped at
I
little B,
stopped
big B?
at 7AB.
Wrong B.
Or, yeah.
So in addition, because if you look at your docket claims, this spreadsheet, you know, TRF AP to 200 DBT dash tax revenue, I find that confusing. That to me doesn't tell a lot of detail. So what I've asked is that our comptroller, when she's been doing this, anytime we're transferring money, put this interfund transfer form that explains to y'all, that way is a motion on the agenda, not just the docket, about us moving money between funds, to go and explain it. And then she's even put the backup that she's printing out of, Encode for each one. Look at that 100,000 one.
Well, specifically, I'm looking at which loans are you paying back?
So one example on docket, the AP to Mississippi Reserve Interfund, 100,000. That's one of them.
Where are you at?
I'm looking at just the docket that you started with.
Oh.
Second one on the
That
docket.
list. You know, it just says interfund,
It's harder going back
you know,
and forth.
municipal reserve. Then you got, we're paying our money to the library fund,
Yeah,
130,000.
I understand that.
You know,
Yeah.
So anything
But-
where it says interfund, it's just a repayment.
so, and again, there's a box that says repayment of loan between funds, and she's checking the box.
So you're still on the docket of claims?
No, I was just kind of looking at that form again. That, again, we've been doing this for several months, probably beginning of this fiscal year, trying to say, if we're moving money between funds, the council should actually take action, so we put it as consent agenda, put an explanation in addition to the docket. Historically, it's just been on the docket.
So which one's police department reimbursements on the docket of claims?
So one of them, then, in fact, I think you, was it the end of January meeting or whatever, second meeting in January, we did a transfer from municipal reserve into police department, the expense to pay for that building, and you said, hey, by the time we get our second payment, basically, you wanted to see that paid back. That was one of them, that 100,000.
Okay, so that's that 100 divided that was to be paid back out of the general fund.